Alright, should be live and such. So, usual routine. Take me a minute here to get going. Have to load the chat and do these other little tasks and such. Add it. I didn't want to add it to anything. Watch later and such. YouTube and all these silly buttons that do nothing I'd ever be interested in doing. But whatever. It's the internet and such. Gotta deal with the world that exists, not the world that should be, and such. Alright, and so it begins. I guess I don't need that, so I gotta find the Morons channel. Alright, so that's... Let's see, should I bother doing the pop-out window? Maybe I won't bother. Make my life easier. And do this Firefox thing, and let's see, Michael Falwell. It should be his crap, and it is. All right. So I figure since he's made these other videos, we might as well. Oh, what is that? He's got some crap on top of it. What for? Yeah. So. Yeah. This is how seriously they take this shit. Look at these silly titles. This childish nonsense. Ugh, pathetic.
Time for...
Oh, Jesus. Alright, more volume, and see if that's loud enough to be heard by both of us. So, what video? Okay, this is the 1 to 3 thing. This silly pendulum crap that, you know, obviously if you take it to its logical conclusion, you can just keep doing it over and over again and increasing the amount of momentum. So, too ridiculous.
Another installment of a load of made-up bullshit nonsense.
Yeah, whatever. It's an argument. You can't counter it with anything reasonable. So I'm sure he won't deal with the fact that I could just keep making this extra energy, which is true. And then the newest version of this argument, there's no way he could get around that one. Because it's airtight. I mean, their physics creates circumstances that are plainly impossible. And it's just a fact. Now let's see, maybe I should make this video bigger. It's always a little risky. Let's see what happens. Not any better. Yeah, that's better. Alright, so do we want to draw it first? No, we'll just play it. There was something else I wanted to do. But anyway, let's do this and then we'll see what happens as we do it. Yeah. What do I want to check? Oh yeah, I wanted to check volume. Okay, so let me just check.
Alright, time for anotherdraftphysics.com, debatephysics.com, also video presentation. So this is the subject of the idea of negative motion, that you can have a collision or an event, and the energy that goes this way is...
So what is he doing this noise, deliberate, distracting noise thing for on a physics video? Fuck. They're just all so fucktarded.
Believed to cancel the energy this way. They just subtract them.
Nope, not the energy.
So again, more nonsense about how motion isn't motion. And there's a special kind of scalar energy inside of objects. So again, the whole argument is just draw me a picture of how the scalar stuff works. I mean, where's it hiding? Is it in the atoms? Where is this scalar energy hiding that never does any work?
Again, you're conflating the two. Energy.
There's no conflation. They're both described by exactly the same definition. It's, you know, motion in the universe, moron.
Momentum.
And the net product will somehow be the energy that caused the event, which, in my opinion, makes no sense at all, of course, because obviously the energy...
Yes, it doesn't make sense to you because you're conflating again.
What is he... Look, this is just ridiculous. Why should I have to endure this deliberate, idiotic nonsense? What do you think? Somebody enjoys looking at this, you fucking retard?
And like I say, you're talking about momentum and then you're saying energy. The energy... Oh.
I'm talking about the motion going in, yes, the MV, and you're going to make free MV. Okay, that's the issue. So why can't you just deal with the issue that, yes, you believe you can make free momentum, and you don't think free momentum means it'll do free work. When, of course, momentum is pressure, it's weight, and it always will do work.
The energy is conserved, and you can sum the totals in the opposite direction.
So again, you can sum the totals in the opposite direction. Somehow you can subtract it. So a nuclear bomb doesn't make any energy because all the energy cancels, all the momentum. So there's no momentum created by a nuclear bomb because it's all undone by itself. Yeah, right. It makes so much fucking sense. No, it doesn't make any sense at all. You know the energy's in the atom. You know it has all this pressure. You know it's going to create little things moving very fast. They're going to transfer their momentum to other objects. It's not a zero momentum event. Yeah, that was one of the subjects I wanted to get to. So I'll ask ahead of time. We'll see if nobody's watching. But yeah, I'll ask ahead of time when no one's watching. Yeah, current views, none. So that's just spectacular. Thanks, YouTube. Yeah. Oh, God. So, yeah, there's no point in me soliciting anyone's reasonable input. But the whole point is that, we have this whole idea of creating an explosion to cause an event. All right. Now, the problem is I've pointed out how springs fail dismally. Because I take something and I take two things, one mass this way, one mass that way, put a spring between them. And then all I have to do is double the masses, 2 mass and a 2 mass. It's 4 times the amount of weight. It's twice the amount of weight. And what happens? Oh, that's right. I get a lot more momentum. So the spring works better the heavier I have objects. So I could go 3 masses and I'll get even more total momentum out of the spring. Just a fact. So it's not a very good explosion, is it? If the energy of the explosion changes, it's not very useful. So they have used real explosives, but I only heard that in a Feynman lecture. So I've never seen one online where they use a real explosive to create the motion and then do both experiments. Because frankly, you don't have the same problem as you have with a spring, because the energy is moving so quickly that there's no difference. Whether it's going faster or not doesn't going to change how much energy the objects are going to collect. But obviously explosives are a little bit tricky to play with. And so the question is there something better than that? Now, magnets, maybe that's better. See, it's in the slower it goes, the longer it's in the magnetic field. So, yeah, it defeated again. The quicker it gets out of the magnetic field, the less the magnetic field can affect it. So, obviously, the heavy objects would get more again. So, the trick is to find a mechanism for creating a reaction, that goes both ways, that consistently gives the same energy regardless of masses. For that very reason, that it actually works. Unlike springs, it actually works. Yeah. Jesus, we're such assholes. I mean, they can't just draw it. They can't, the whole idea was for you to draw what I've drawn and explain why you think your truth is the truth, in the sense that explain why my drawing of hitting the object once and then hitting again and creating free momentum, how that doesn't actually happen.
Actions. Nothing cancels energy-wise.
So, yes, you just eliminated a big substantial part of the motion in the universe. You just said it disappears. because you certainly can't blame heat in the Newton's cradle. You can't say heat took away half the energy. So again, they're saying you could have a car crash between a 150 momentum car and a 50 momentum car, and only 100 pops out. And everybody knows from the Mythbusters experiments especially that you can't cancel that energy, and that if it does crush like clay, you put clay in front of the cars, you'll collect 200 momentums worth of crushing in the clay. You're not going to collect 100. So we know the momentum is real, and you're making it disappear from the universe, and you have to explain where it disappeared to. If it's not a scalar, where is it hiding when you only have 100 pop back out? He won't answer. He's not going to address anything in this video. He's just going to walk right over it, right past it. It's a 15-minute video, and his video's 10 minutes long. You think he's really going to play my video? No. Obviously.
Something possessed, like currency, and I can't have $10 and then make $15 go that way and $5 go that way and pretend I caused the event. Because it's
not about pretending, it's about...
Oh, you can't... Yeah, I can't really hear him anymore. Oh, Jesus, God, what are you... These people are such assholes. Alright, well, I'll make that louder, and then I'll probably make the echo louder, but who cares? I need to hear him. Yeah, so... See how that goes.
Understanding.
Doesn't make any sense. I have $20. I can't have 20. So this is basically the outline of the experiment.
Yes, you can't make free energy, which is pretty obvious. Like, you can't make free momentum. But again, you don't understand.
Well, why do this to somebody? Do this to your own videos. What the fuck are you doing it to my video for? What the fuck does this crap have to do with a physics video? I mean, if this was some sort of, philosophy video or some sort of I'm just going to talk shit for a couple of hours, fine. But what the fuck's it in this video for?
Found it, do you?
Physics says they have successfully accomplished it. They use air tracks and they use the cars.
I mean, it's almost like, what the fuck? Why the fuck should I watch a video with this chaos? Why should I play it? Oh, God damn it.
Showed it you in every conceivable...
He didn't show shit. And we already know about all the parallax. The objects are running round. You can't be sure of anything. And the difference between 1/4 the velocity and half the velocity is whatever, that much. Okay, I pointed out how he has the velocity so low that you can't even, that you can't practically measure the difference between quarter speed and half speed on this arc. And so he needs to lengthen the pendulum, and he needs to put more energy in. And what happened when he did that? He crashed them into each other. The whole thing flew off, and that was the end of the, the attaching element broke off. So, I mean, if your materials aren't up to the task, then don't bother doing the experiment. And again, you're guilty of that. You use a 1.5-inch spring to collect 4 pounds of weight. I mean, it's fucktarded.
Way possible. He even filmed it, pretty much in real time, and still you couldn't accept the truth.
Well, whatever. You're saying that. What's going to be your retraction? So if the experiment is actually done by somebody like physicist Michael or somebody qualified, and it's proven that, it is only 1/4 the velocity, it is only 75 momentums go this way, 25 go that way, you're not creating any free momentum. What's going to be your retraction exactly? What are you going to say, you fucking little piece of Weasley shit? I mean, you're making these arrogant claims based on crappy, shitty evidence. You won't even admit that physics should have done these experiments. You won't even say those fucking words, and you're saying you're a science defender? The only fucking experiment you have is fucking Dispar's bullshit marble-glued thing, all right? And you're saying that's all you need to be a believer. That's good science. I mean, fuck you. I mean, it just amazes me that these pieces of garbage can't even admit that these experiments should be done clinically, well, professionally, as good as science can do them, and it should do them all kinds of ways. Change the weights a little tiny bit at a time. All of that shit should be done. Does this stupid weasel say that? No. Is this a defender of science? No. Is this a guy who just hates me? Yes.
The little metal wheels, and say that they make this happen. So you have 100 momentums. Okay, you could.
So again, that is the true history. I mean, it's just a fact. They're using plastic carts with wheels with a tiny rotational radius, which means all the matter in those wheels is going in insanely fast velocity. When all of that energy to make those little tiny wheels move at that very high velocity, all of that energy has to come out of the energy you put into the carts. So obviously the carts now have a bunch of scalar energy in the sense that they have flywheels that have stored the energy. So you're not going to see the energy measuring the linear motion. Those are just absolute facts. And it's an absolute fact that Professor Lewin's experiment was a pile of shit. And it's an absolute fact that when he did the same experiment accidentally, where the Velcro didn't stick and the two carts bumped into each other, all of a sudden the momentum was perfectly conserved. No free momentum. You don't account for any of these details, you weasel.
You don't make it happen. It's what nature does.
Oh, fuck you, it does. Doesn't make free momentum.
It's not forced. It's not contrived. It's what...
Oh yeah, fuck you. It's obviously not done. These are experiments not done by any professional physicist. They aren't done. The videos you can find, do they measure anything? The guy does it with a nice long pendulum, pretty good experiment. Does he measure a motherfucking thing? No.
Nature does when you run the experiment.
Call that 10 joules.
Yeah, well, you're wrong, and you're going to be shown to be wrong, and then you're going to have to eat an awful lot of dead crows, you motherfucker. What's going to be your penance for your role here as a pathetic, trolling moron?
Okay, and so let's say I use a pendulum.
So now, again, you're saying this is the momentum, it's 10 joules. No, you can't conflate the two.
There's no conflation, right? There's no lies on that piece of paper regarding the momentum. None whatsoever, you lying sack of shit. I'm not talking about any kinetic energy. I'm talking about the momentum. 100 momentums go in, 150 momentums are continuing in the 3-mass object, and 50 come back for free. I get 50 back. I get half my energy back to hit it again. I don't have to put anything in. I'm getting half the energy back, and it's going to smack it again. He won't even pay attention to the fucking details of the fucking experiment, this fucking weasel. Titling videos like this when this fucking weasel can't even come close to the goddamn truth. Can't honor it, can't respect it. It's drawn right there fucking in front of him. Draw it, fucker. And explain. You have 100 momentums going this way, and then all of a sudden you have 150 momentums going this way. Well, the fact is you could just put another 6-mass, okay, next to it, and then you'll have 300 momentums.
Joules is energy.
You'll get...
It doesn't matter what the fucking... I didn't say joules, I just said it's 100. Who cares? It's momentum, MV, hundredworth. It's just being used to symbolically represent that you're claiming a 150% increase. That's the absolute fucking fact. You're saying there'll be a 150% increase in the momentum going that way. That's what the fucking physics says, you lying sack of shit. Oh, I can't believe he's nitpicking this crap.
The energy back in the sense that 50 will come back this way, and 150 will go this way, if it's a 3-mass. So we're talking about this.
So again, you're saying the energy...
I didn't say energy. I just said 100 comes in, 50 comes back, and 150 goes forward. I'm saying you start with 100, and now you have 200 in the universe. And that's the absolute fact. If it was pressure, if it was in a container, you went from having 100 bouncing in the container to now having 200 bouncing in the container. Magically. Just fucking magically, you now have twice the pressure in the container. I mean, okay, I draw it. I mean, there's just no point. I mean, he's so fucking... He won't go anywhere near what the video actually says, what the actual subject is. What's the fucking point? I can't make it any goddamn simpler. I go to all this fucking trouble to make these shorter videos, to make it as simple and as concise as possible, and these motherfucking pieces of dirt won't even pay attention to the fucking experiment. I illustrate it with cars, with air tracks, and then the simplest one, the simplest of all the fucking experiments, the one where you can't really hide any of the energy anywhere, you can't hide the momentum anywhere, you can't hide anything anywhere, you can't blame fucking heat or some other nonsense. Alright, so this is a 3 mass. Alright, this is a 1 mass. The simple argument is, do you want an actual velocity? Does it really matter? So if I say it's a 5 mass, okay, and it's going 10, well then we can say, no, I want to do it the other way around. A 10 mass going 5, and there'll be 125, right? So instead of using a nice round number, right, which would make it a much simpler thing to say, well, whatever, I'm not going to placate him. It's 100 MV. So the M times the V equals 100. Okay, doesn't matter any other circumstance, then we know that this is 3 times heavier. That's it. And we know that when this leaves, okay, it's going to have 150% of that momentum. It's going to have 150 momentum. Fact. And this is going to come back with 50. Alright, so now we have the 200. So we started, if this was a fucking box, right, we started with 100 going in. That's all the work we put in. That's all the force we put in. That's all the energy we put in. Right? And that could just go back and forth in the box. You could understand it could go back and forth. And we're just going to say, oh, it actually hits a 3 mass. All right, and then the 3 mass, comes off at a little tiny bit of an angle, and this comes off at another little angle, you could say. And so the 1 mass continues hitting the walls with 50, and the 3 mass hits the walls with 150. So we now have 200 MVs hitting this wall and 200 MVs hitting this wall, when before we only had 100. That's all we started with. So it's free fucking momentum. Alright, that's the real argument, you fucking piece of shit. And these cowards won't go near it. There's just no point, right? There's no fucking point in making the argument because they won't pay any attention to what you fucking said in the video.
Quarters of the energy will go into the 3 mass, 1/4 of the energy will come back.
Okay, so whatever that mush is, right? 3/4 of the energy, whatever that is. What are you talking about? We're talking about the momentum. I made it clear in the video. We're talking about the momentum. It's a free momentum experiment. That's the whole argument. You can't make free momentum. That's the argument. And what are you talking about energy for? And it's clearly not less kinetic energy. If I did the kinetic energy calculation, I'm still going to be way over, because it does in fact add. Let's see, the heavier mass going a slower velocity. Okay, it doesn't add. So it's only when they subtract the momentum, because there's extra momentum. So that's the whole argument, that whenever you're transferring energy from one object to another object of a different mass, you either destroy momentum and create free kinetic energy, or you destroy the kinetic energy and create free momentum. It's a mathematical, unavoidable consequence of the silly theory. The two theories are not compatible. Momentum and kinetic energy do not get anything like rationally the same answer. Just like with the fucking spaceship, when the fucking goddamn exhaust has 2,673 joules of energy, and yet the spaceship only collects 53.
3/4 and 1/4 makes a whole, what you started with.
Alright, so he's just ignoring the momentum argument entirely. Momentum doesn't exist now. At all. Yeah. Oh, these people are just so weaselly.
No free energy.
And this is what they say actually happens. That you create more motion in the direction, more momentum in the direction that you're pushing the force. So,
oh, some momentum now.
No, it was always momentum, and you know it. That's the whole fucking point of the argument, is arguing the momentum, the free fucking momentum. So don't play this game that was some confusion. There was no confusion.
it was a car. It's It's a one-mass car. It's going, let's say, whatever, 100 momentums, and it makes 150 in the heavier car. So the heavier car is going a little slower, but it has this increase in its momentum.
So let's hear his argument. What's the argument? That's what they're claiming happens. And if I make it a much higher ratio, like a 1 mass to a 10 mass, then I'll get 200 momentum. And I'll get all my momentum back. All the energy comes back. I can put it back up a ramp. I can put it up on a pendulum. Anything. I'll get 100 back to smack it again. And again. That's what these 3 little dots are for, is to illustrate that argument. Let's see if he plays that part of the video. Probably isn't going to play it because it's already drawn. So he started in the middle of the video somewhere.
Yeah, just as words, that should bother you. Free momentum? That doesn't sound right.
No, it doesn't sound right to you, but it's not free momentum, is it?
Oh, it's just amazing. So obviously it's free momentum. Obviously I can make it into free momentum so easily. I can create this experiment where the box is now double pressurized. Just an absolute fact. It's going to be double pressurized. Because we know these walls won't collect the kinetic energy. Just like a ballistic pendulum, these walls won't collect anything. They're not going to move.
Because you have to subtract them if they're going in opposite directions.
And he says, I have to. And so what? So you go ahead and subtract. Where is it then? You can't make it disappear. You can't create it, and then you can't destroy it. That's the rules of momentum. So again, you're just ignoring the first, second, and third law of Newton's physics. You're ignoring the law of conservation. You're ignoring Feynman's 15 minutes of talking about how a mother can't, how a kid can't destroy the blocks he's hiding.
Like Newton said, the guy who you idolise, who you don't believe.
Whatever. I don't idolize him. I'm just saying, compared to Leibniz, yes. Compared to who exactly are you gonna take shots at Newton as a dedicated observer of the truth, in the sense that he polished his own mirrors, he did his own lenses. An insane amount of work he did in his life, an amazing amount. So yeah, I guess in that sense I idolize him. I shouldn't? Is that your argument? Newton isn't worthy? I mean, these people are such duplicitous pieces of shit. They take no account for what they're arguing against. They argue against Archimedes' law of the lever. They argue against Hooke's law of the spring. And then they sit there and pretend that Newton didn't know what he was talking about.
Believe a word he said.
Their claim that this 50 somehow undoes 50 here, and you only have a real 100, even though if this was a closed system and these objects weren't on strings, they would hit the outside walls of your closed system and be producing.
There, that's the argument I just made. How do you explain that? You've doubled the pressure inside the box, and you didn't do anything. You didn't put double the energy in. You didn't put double the motion in. You didn't put double the momentum in. How can I have double the momentum in the box?
200 worth of pressure. So there's no fact that says it isn't 200.
Oh my God, no. You're really not getting this, are you?
Oh, that's his response. I'm not getting. That's right. I'm not getting it because I know what pressure is. Pressure is the number of impacts happening on the surface of a container. That's the definition. That's the physics definition of pressure in a vessel, moron. It's their atomic theory, jackass. You're arguing with your own physics, fucktard.
I only put 100 in, and now I have 200 units of pressure in my system. Anyway, so we are using pendulums, though. We can make the energy come back together again. And their claim is that only 100 pops out. So now I have 200 momentums in a collision, and somehow only 100 momentums pops out. And this repeats. And they think this is a reasonable position, a reasonable argument, a reasonable model of reality. So
yes, it's because it's what happens in reality.
Okay, so again, it doesn't happen, okay? They got nothing produced by any scientist. All he's got is some fucking videos by Dispar. That's it. He can't link me to any other piece of fucking credible evidence because we've already looked for it, right? All these crappy air track experiments filmed from 45-degree angles. Okay, again, the high school teacher one where she's not trying to do the experiment and she does it and it comes out perfect for momentum, right? And then we got the Professor Lewin glaring example where it's obvious those carts don't weigh what he claims.
There's so many. It's, all these arguments, you're saying, well, how can I demonstrate that this is impossible? Because I could just do this a second time and a third time, and I end up starting with 100 momentums and ending up with 500 momentums. And how can that make any sense? Because you sort of know from the...
Why don't you try it?
Oh, no, why don't you try it? You're the one claiming it's fucking true, you moron. Fuck you, this is so bullshit. You're claiming it's not going to happen, that somehow I'm not going to make 500 and 1,000 and then 2,000. None of this stuff's going to happen. It's your fucking theory. You should prove it doesn't goddamn fucking happen. You've had 350 fucking years to prove this fucking nonsense. You've had trillions of dollars. You have laboratories all over the place. You have all kinds of little carts with metal wheels you can afford to buy. Why don't you do the fucking experiment? Brozo tried it and he couldn't make it work, if you recall. He conceded. Well, it didn't happen. I banged air cart, one mass air cart into 2 mass air cart into 3 mass air cart, and it didn't work.
Why don't you build your little perpetual motion machine?
Not my fucking obligation. You're the one who's got to, if you're going to call it science, you're supposed to produce evidence. All right, you're claiming the Holy Ghost exists, so show me the fucking Holy Ghost, you fucking piece of shit. You're not doing science, you're just doing fucking goddamn religion.
Try that one out. You could patent it. You become...
Yeah, there's no point. I can patent it. That's right, I've already patented it. In the sense that I'm saying, well, sure, I'm the first one to recognize that it's free momentum, so I guess I own the patent for it. All right, I don't need to do the write-up because I've already outed it as a what their physics says. But it obviously isn't going to happen, so it's a useless patent. It's like patenting shoes for the Holy Ghost.
A trillionaire.
Bowling example, that momentum knocks pins down. Objects hit and they share their momentum with the objects they hit, just like pool balls. So the argument is I'm going to move more pool balls with the added energy I have going in the same direction that my energy.
Again, try it.
Oh, again, I had a pool table as a kid. I know what happens. I know I can't make the pool balls going. I hit 2 pool balls, right? I mean, this is such an easy illustration. I mean, I guess I might as well draw it. But I mean, there's no way to account for your wacky subtract the momentums theory, because if I subtract the momentums, I'm going to lose a gigantic amount of the total momentum. It's going to be gone because I never created any free momentum. Just like in this pendulum experiment, it just doesn't happen. I can't make free momentum, and I can't do it with pool balls, and I can't do it with anything else either. It's just a silly proposition, absolutely a ridiculous proposition, and you have no fucking evidence for it, and you're just arrogant, obnoxious, religious shitbrains. It's disgusting that after all these years, the Inquisition still exists. You're going to ridicule me for asking reasonable questions. All right, so I have 2 pool balls. We'll make it simple. I mean, I did it with a cluster of them because then you'd have them going, well, I'll do that. What the hell? So you have, let's say you have 4 pool balls, and you crash your cue ball into it here. What will happen is these will go generally in this direction, okay, and this one will go generally in that direction, and this one will probably still go forward. It depends on whether you have any spin on the ball. But what I'm going to have is a total. I can't make any free momentum here. So if I subtract the momentum here, let's say it goes in with 100 again, and I have 50 going this way, and I got 50, well, we'll be fair. We got 50 going this way, and we got 25 going this way. We got 25 going this way, and this one stops, we'll say. If I subtract this and this, the 2 25s, I only got 50. I don't have all my momentum. I've lost it again. So, I mean, that's the bullshit of your theory. Your theory that these subtract, that anything moving in an opposite direction subtracts. doesn't work in any circumstance where I create an explosion, okay, where stuff moves in all kinds of directions, your theory completely breaks down, because everybody goddamn knows that if I didn't subtract, okay, I'm not going to have 500 momentums worth of balls rolling. I can't make any more energy than was in this ball. That's it. That's all the energy there is. Whatever was in this in linear motion, I'm only going to have linear motion in these other objects that are going to total that linear motion. That's the absolute fact of energy conservation. That's what it means. That's what it has to do. And you're just a lying sack of shit that's evading the goddamn subject. That in any other experiment, if I, with multiple objects moving in multiple directions, if I subtract the opposites and then say that's how much momentum is in the experiment, I'm going to lose, 80 or 90% of the goddamn momentum.
Because, yes, it's a higher...
You're just such a weasel. God, I just hate these fuckers. Hate them. I mean, just absolutely hate these people.
momentum number, but it's less energy. It doesn't do more work.
Okay, it's more made up, just baby talk. You're not dealing with the subject at all. You either have... You're saying that the extra momentum is going to do more work. So he's saying 200 momentums bouncing off the walls isn't twice the pressure as 100 bouncing off the walls. That's his argument. It's obviously a shitty argument.
What's going in? And that can't happen because I can't make free motion. I can't make a free disturbance in the universe. I can only follow energy. I can't make it. And momentum, even if you don't think it's a...
But you're not following the energy. Like I say, what you'd say, joules, energy, momentum, what? You just make it up as you go along.
Whatever. So what did Newton call energy? Oh, no answer. Yeah, right. Obviously, Descartes, Galileo, and Newton all thought the quantity of motion, the mv, was energy.
Officially energy, it behaves just like it was energy. You have to conserve it. You can't make more of it, and you can't destroy it.
Correct, and everything.
All right, so, there's no point. Obviously, your experiment does create free momentum. That's the subject. You just ignored it. So he didn't even play the argument, Well, we're only halfway. See what happens.
In that example there, momentum and kinetic energy are both conserved.
All right, so it's a lie. Just an absolute lie. Obviously, the momentum is not conserved. There's no such thing, as I just pointed out, of negative or unmomentum. The fact is the momentum will hit something and impose its momentum on that thing. It's just an absolute lie to say I can have 100 momentums turned into 150 momentums and I've conserved the momentum. You can't say that and be reasonable.
So obviously this idea that there's such a thing as unenergy, or unmotion, or anti-motion...
Oh God, but again, energy, motion. What are you talking about?
Oh, shit. There's just no point. Kinetic energy is made out of momentum, by the way. Talking about MV, I'm always talking about mass times velocity, always.
Doesn't work, and obviously it's in the form of anti-momentum, because that's all they're saying cancels is momentum, and then you're left with the total energy. And again, it doesn't happen in the real world, and if it did happen, that you could make this extra momentum, somebody...
So I'd given the pool ball example, so he just skipped right over all of these arguments. So the pool ball example was right there in the video. He ignored it. And I did this other argument where, you take the 50 that comes back and you hit another ball with it, and then you hit the ball with the 25 that comes back, and now you got 300 momentums. So you start with 100 and you end up with 300 going exactly the same way.
Be capitalizing on it, I'm sure, because extra momentum is extra energy. Extra momentum makes...
No.
Well, whatever. So again, he's going to play this game because they've stolen the word energy. Nobody else can use the word energy because energy always means V squared. You know, that's the bullshit of this conversation. We all know what energy looks like. It's like the sun burning. Lots of things are called energy. You've got to cut me a little slack that I'm allowed to use the fucking word where I understand what energy is. Since I was born on this planet, I've understood it as mass and velocity, for fuck's sake. I didn't even know you had this silly fucking theory until like 20 years ago or whatever, 15 years ago. It's probably less than that, 12. Did you actually believe this crap? This 25 times the fuel to spin something 5 times as fast? What kind of fucking retard would believe that's true? You spin the water wheel twice as fast, it does 4 times the work. Where do you have a shred of evidence that ever happened on this planet?
Momentum is not extra energy. Like I say, in that example there,
There's just no point. It's extra momentum. That's the argument. Can you make free momentum? Is that consistent with the idea of conservation of momentum, that I can make more mass moving of velocity, more MV? I can put a certain MV in and I can get more fucking MV out. Is that consistent with any notion of conservation?
when the one mass comes in, that has a certain amount of energy. When it collides with the 3 mass, 3/4 of its energy.
So he's doing it again, this waste of my goddamn time. My argument is it's only 3/4 of its momentum goes forward. Too ridiculous.
Will go over to the 3 mass, and 1/4 of the energy will come back with the 1 mass. So it doesn't have more energy. It has less energy than...
Now, again, it's not the subject. The subject is what the fuck happens to the momentum. Is it real or fake? Is momentum conserved or not? And again, I'll reference Professor Lewin saying it right to your face, right? Nature can deal with kinetic energy one way or the other, but nature can't finagle momentum.
What the 1 mass came in with, therefore it can't do more work.
Okay, so he's saying something with 150% of the momentum, something with 50% more momentum can't do more work. Obviously, I think that's absolute nonsense, and it doesn't work in any atomic theory, any theory about kinematics and atoms.
Yes, it's a higher momentum number, but it's got less kinetic energy.
Oh, so again, so he's conceding it's free momentum. Yes, it's free momentum. So at least he's saying it. And I could make more and more of it. I could just keep doing it over and over again until I have 500, and then I have 1,000. And that momentum is exactly the same, if I could find my scale. I mean, that's what scales read, is pressure, weight. That's momentum. It's weight. He's saying it doesn't matter. 500 pounds is the same force as 100 pounds.
So it won't do more work.
Says you. And there's no evidence. You have no experimental evidence whatsoever.
More heat. Extra momentum can be converted into more heat. It can be converted into something we can use in terms of making something we want to have happen. We can do more work with more momentum. So it's really...
And again, you can...
Yes, obviously. So he's just saying there is no conservation of momentum. He has conceded the point. He's saying, yes, you've made free momentum. And you can make a lot of free momentum, and it just doesn't matter. Because somehow momentum doesn't mean anything.
Blading work, momentum, energy.
No, you're conflating it. You're claiming it exists when it never works. So again, I keep asking you for the experiment where you show the kinetic energy doing work. It can't do work on a spaceship, so you concede that argument, right? I can have 2 million joules of exhaust in kinetic energy, and the only thing the spaceship's going to move with is the momentum. Do you concede the point? So where did the kinetic energy do work? It obviously didn't do work. Only the momentum did work. The ballistic pendulum moves with the goddamn momentum. It doesn't collect any of the kinetic energy. So how did the fucking kinetic energy do work? It obviously didn't do anything we could use as work. It didn't create any linear motion in the pendulum. So how did it do any work? I mean, you're such liars.
Which, oh God, it's like unbelievable.
It's, I would argue.
Right, that's your counter argument, as you evaded all the arguments in the video. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just such weaselly behavior. I mean, not to concede, you haven't got the evidence. This hasn't been proven by your physics. This isn't physics. It is religion. They're just telling stories about some kind of magical scalar thing, some living force, scalar fun energy that lives inside of things. You have no explanation for where it's hiding. You have no explanation for where it disappears to, except to say heat or, deformation. Well, deformation doesn't use energy, by the way. The energy is still there after the deformation. It's still there as heat. Every bit of it's still there.
It's paradoxically silly, okay? And yet they firmly...
You are fucking silly.
Okay, right. So it's not silly that the guy invented the joule tank and they've never used 1 cent. That's not something that looks suspicious in physics. Why the fuck you have this device that measures energy? Why don't you use it? Why don't you use it? Why are there no experiments? 150 years of no experiments with a perfectly good thermometer, so to speak. A perfectly good measuring device, never ever used again.
Believe it. I mean, so arrogantly and obnoxiously. And they say, they do these little air track experiments where, in the classic case that I have shown is Professor Lewin, because he has a very high quality air track, $10,000 air track, and apparently it works really well. And so the only way they can make this experiment happen.
Yes, it did work.
Yeah, right. The only way you can make the experiment happy. So he says it worked very well, yeah, except for the fact that there's clay smeared all over the carts. And there's no way the cart that weighs twice as much can be understood to weigh twice as much because it doesn't have the same attachments that it doesn't have any clay on it, let alone twice the clay.
Really well, and you've seen that as well.
Yeah, where they can hit a 1 mass cart into a 2 mass cart, okay? And we'll say, again, it's 100 velocity for this, 100 momentums, and it will make this cart leave, okay, with one...
Oh, wait for it now, what we're going to hear. There was a blob of clay.
33. See, the higher the difference, this is one...
Yeah, so he doesn't think a blob of clay on the cart, on an air track cart, means anything. Doesn't weigh anything, doesn't change the balance of the cart at all, doesn't do anything at all. No, it's totally meaningless. Amazing bullshit. Do it to one of those boats that floats on the water. Put more weight on one side than the other side. See what the damn thing does.
2. They don't do 1 to 3, and they don't do 1 to 5, and they don't do 1 to 7, and they don't do any of those higher experiments because it got even more ludicrous. But anyway, so he did the experiment.
Again, if they do the experiment, like I said, why hasn't their physics done this, right? So we have no reason to think it's reasonable that physics would test these different things. 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, and document all of them for us. Why haven't they done any of that? Oh, that's right, because number one, it doesn't happen. It doesn't fit their theory, so of course they don't do it. And the only one they do is the one you can fudge, because 133, well, that's not too much. So you can fudge an experiment with only 33 extra. You can't fudge the experiment where you're supposed to be getting more 200. When you're supposed to get twice the fucking momentum in the object, yeah, you can't. That's pretty hard to fudge when it's has twice the momentum in it. So that's why we don't see it. That's why we don't see the 1 to 9 experiment, where the amount of free momentum is going to be nearly, 100% more. Twice as much momentum.
And he, created these results with his air track. But if you look at his cart, there's a big blob of clay on the one cart. And then when you look at the cart that's supposed to weigh twice as much, it doesn't have twice the amount of clay on it. It doesn't have any clay on it.
It doesn't have twice the weights on it. It doesn't have twice the attachments on it. It has absolutely no indication that it's twice the mass. There's nothing indicating it.
So again, you just call him fake and fraud for even...
Oh yeah, that one experiment, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm calling fake and fraud because it's obvious. The carts are so fucking filthy and dirty with clay smeared all over them. Of course, they've been manipulated to force the experiment to work the way they wanted it to come out. They had to have it meet what the book says. They weren't doing it a scientific experiment. They were doing performance fucking art. These were fucking footprints they put on the ground and said you have to hit these steps. So their objective was make it look right. It doesn't have to be right.
I'm a professional.
So good. I mean, I'm glad you've doubled down on defending that sack of shit moron video. And again, in the same fucking lecture, he does the same. He takes two different carts that aren't, they don't have blobs of clay stuck on them, right? Two clean carts, and does the experiment with Velcro, and the Velcro doesn't stick. And what happens in the experiment? Momentum is perfectly conserved. 75% of the momentum goes forward, it kept actually going forward, actually. So you had 25 going this way, and you had 75 going that way. So they both went in the same direction, actually. But the point is the total motion of carts stayed the goddamn same. The momentum was perfectly conserved. So somehow, springs on air track with clay makes the result different.
And it only has the same amount of weights on it. And so there's good reason to believe it can't possibly be twice as heavy. It gives some reason to doubt that their physics is as well.
So he jumped ahead again. Yes, right? Because that just popped on the screen. So this is just quote mining now. He's evaded all the arguments he can't address.
Done as they would like to claim it to be, that it has all this integrity, that's all been well tested, and that they aren't doing just performance art. They aren't trying to just show an experiment instead of reveal an experiment. They're not testing it.
So again, you're just saying that all...
I didn't say all. So again, just a big fucking goddamn straw man pile of shit. I didn't say all. Well, I have legitimate gripes about a ton of these experiments. None of them have the weights. They don't have the fucking measurements. They don't have a camera angle that's rational. You don't see that? You don't think that's, well, god damn it, that's pretty bogus. They made a minute and 32-second video of a really important experiment, and they didn't do any measurements whatsoever, and they didn't even film it decently. You don't think that's a problem? Again, that's the science you're defending. You're defending smoke and mirrors and bullshit. Do it the worst way almost possible. Smear dirt on the lens. I mean, it's just so fucking bad. It's not even close to what something that has integrity should look like.
There's some worldwide conspiracy.
All right, yeah, that's bullshit. Yeah, religion isn't a worldwide conspiracy. Religion is just evidence of humans suck. And you're a proof of it. You're all lying pieces of garbage that have no fucking integrity.
That all physicists are trying to...
You have less dignity than the scurviest animal on this planet because you're not living an honest life, you fucking trolly piece of crap.
Hide the truth. Why?
Why? Why? Because your truth isn't the truth. That's why. That's why you haven't redone the Eddington experiment from space. Is because it doesn't fucking work. Obviously.
Ask yourself why. Why would anybody want to do that? Why would they be...
Because you're all wooicists. You all want to believe in sparkly bullshit. You want to think there is such a thing as a living goddamn force. You don't want to believe in a mechanical universe. Believe you're a silly and fucktarded robot. And that's all you are. A stupid machine.
Teaching young people, the next generation growing up, who are going to discover and invent new things, why would you teach them stuff that, is what you claim not to be true?
What did he just say? Yeah, obviously I'm claiming your fables aren't true, just like I want to say no kid should be raised with religious notions. They shouldn't be with any kind of belief in any living force crap, any such thing as a scalar energy, whatever the fuck that is. The universe doesn't do any of that shit. The universe is made out of motion and vectors, and that's all it is, you dumb shit. Atoms don't magically move. They have to be pushed. You stupid fuck.
Or fake, or fraud. What would be the purpose?
The truth matters, jackass. God damn, what would be the purpose? Well, we could save about $1 trillion a year, frankly, if we add up all the money wasted on fusion and dark energy and all the other quantum computers, all this horseshit that will never do a motherfucker, all this gravitational wave shit. It'll never do a productive thing, and it'll never do a piece of work on this planet ever. It's just theft.
Just to suppress your genius? Is that the only purpose?
No, the purpose is just like religion. What's the purpose of religion? Is to live a fake narrative. Because somehow it makes your life more meaningful or something. I don't know what it is. Obviously, I didn't fall for it. The fact that you are silly dupes isn't my fault. You think this silly theory has the same integrity as the theory of evolution, this silly kinetic energy theory? You think you've proven it with the same substantial amount of evidence? When again, I can point out you haven't even turned a scale sideways and measured how much velocity you have to give an object to make it weigh its weight horizontally, like a pendulum. How much velocity does an object have to do into a scale to weigh its weight? Do you know the answer to the question? Have you ever been curious? Did you ever ask a physicist anything? Is there any evidence you people did any of this science? No, because you have a fable. You have some gingerbread story. You're living in fucking Oz. You're not living in reality.
Demonstrating it. They're forcing it to come out the way the book says it should come out. They're not allowing it to naturally come out that way. So there's one more example that I should publish.
Yes, and you can see how they force it. Again, just the very fact that they use this silly description of a low-friction car that has little tiny wheels on it. It's so ironically silly that scientists think that's the low-friction way to make a car, when obviously it's the way to create a bunch of momentum caught up in the wheels. It's a way to make flywheels. It's not a way to measure linear motion. All right, so let's see. Question mark. Oh, I don't know what this is going to be. Forced reality. Let's see. Falwell doing those effects is mockery and doesn't think the subject deserves better. Well, yeah, that's my point. I mean, they haven't taken any of these subjects seriously. Again, the very fact, all of these, any critic unwilling to concede that their science should have done these experiments, that we shouldn't be doing them in basement floors and on porches and, made out of fucking matchbooks cars. None of this bullshit should be going on. Because all of these experiments should have been done precisely and well, and it still would have cost under $1 million. They could do every experiment I could conceive of, to shore up this theory of theirs, and it wouldn't cost $1 million. That's the absolute fact. They could do all these experiments extremely precisely and extremely well. Right now on YouTube, there's got to be 50 channels that have a really high-quality, high-speed camera. Have any of those fucking morons done any of these elemental physics experiments? I mean, you could argue that Steve Mould did something, at least, when he actually threw balls and had them bounce and videotaped it with a high-speed camera, and you could actually see the ball doing this shit. Now, he didn't talk about the fact that, oh, look, there's half the energy is still in the wobble of the ball. Did he say it? No, but at least you could see it. God, you people are such scum. Let's see. It's funny to me how most of Gary's haters are British. I wonder why that is. Yeah, that's the funny place, right? It's so funny. It's so ironic because the whole Eddington thing was about British pride, and they had a real problem, with Einstein because he was a German and they just had World War One and the whole thing is, well, they were just getting into World War One. Really ugly stuff going on, and Eddington was this great peacemaker, that this is going to be a great collaboration between the Germans and the British, and so we don't have to hate each other and all this blah, 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 blah. When he was the subversive whose plan was to make Einstein the king, and annihilate Newton. But it's all, it's very ironic that the home of Newton, the people who can go visit his grand tomb. These are the people who are saying, I have Newton smootin'. You know, amazing. No pride at all. These idiots are insufferable. Yes. Let's see. Your feminine side is really showing today. So that's just so... why indulge this guy, right? So Warning Fairy, is his name. So again, that's just really irrelevant. You do know that's just such a useless sack of shit comment. But anyway, go ahead. Let's see what else he says. It's supposed to be an insult, question mark. It depends on how you perceive it. Women to let out their womanly energy. So again, that's like scalar energy. Women have scalar love. It's all kinds of love trapped inside of them, and it can never get out. There's some kind of bullshit. Sorry for being a woman. Not sure why it's relevant. Yeah, exactly. Every time you're in the chat, you say something irrelevant like women. So they're just gonna have a conversation about this stupid woman thing that annoys the fuck out of me anyway. But what a absolute waste of time. So thanks, moron. Yeah, for just interjecting with useless trivia. Yes, involuntary suffering is annoying, okay, because, it doesn't really do much physics, unfortunately. But doing what you just did is really useless. I'll just time out. Yeah, that's appropriate. Come back tomorrow or some other fucking day. Ugh, god damn, I hate this planet. Alright, so I guess we're back to the video because the chatters can't produce anything. And yeah, unfortunately, it's just, YouTube is killing my channel. It's just, the view numbers are just disappearing. Oh, that's 10, so that's the average. Can't complain. 10 is, at least it's the average. I guess they're all useless. But I already knew that. Alright, so back to this shit. Am I done? No, he's still got something to say.
Well, if you can make it come out unnaturally, we'd all like to see it.
Yeah, well, I had the whole thing with physicist Michael. He got the big, Newton's cradle, the whole idea to do it, and then all of a sudden he disappeared, didn't he? Yeah, all of a sudden. Couldn't do the experiment anymore. Couldn't talk about physics anymore. Couldn't do anything anymore.
A steel anvil, and you could take another pendulum and you could just bounce the one mass against the steel. It'll just keep bouncing.
Oh, the thought of a steel anvil and what I could do with that.
Oh, brother. So, I mean, you just can't deal with the argument. That's what the physics you're defending says something happens. Do you believe it happens? Do you believe that every time the ball hits the anvil and it bounces back with almost 100% of its energy, that it actually put 200 momentums into the anvil?
I've got visions of Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner and dropping it from a great height.
Well, of course you have visions of cartoons because that's your life as a cartoon. You don't take anything seriously. That's why you live in squalor, and probably torment your wife.
But
it doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
No, you don't make any sense. Unbelievable. All you've done there is just shown your complete lack of knowledge and ignorance on the top.
Yeah, whatever. Just mindless rhetoric in terms of the fact they just ignored all of the arguments. He just skipped over every fucking argument and didn't address a single one of them.
Rick, again.
Why people are so glued to something that has such obvious paradoxical elements to it. But again, they're very aggressive.
What's this? I mean, you can't even see the goddamn stuff written on the fucking page that he fucking didn't pay any attention to. Just amazing bullshit.
You see paradoxes through your ignorance.
Right. Just like the Steve Mould paradox videos. Lever paradox. So to you people, you're really going to argue that I can have a one mass going 1.4 and put it in one side of a lever, and I can lift a 2 mass at one velocity. That's your fucking moronic theory. A smaller amount of momentum is going to make something with to create a greater momentum in the object. I can do that. That physics happens. No, it doesn't.
And saying this does happen. Negative motion, anti-motion, unmotion happens, and it doesn't.
You've seen the experiment done over.
Oh, liar, 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 liar. Where? This spar. That's the only place. Where else has it been done? Where else has anything been measured? Go ahead. Link me to your measured video.
Over. Momentum has to be conserved.
Ah, liar. So again, conserved if you subtract momentum. Anything going in an opposite direction, you subtract. So again, a nuclear bomb creates no momentum. There's no momentum. A nuclear bomb goes off, it creates no momentum. Nothing with mass moves. There's no MV. It doesn't create any MV. I mean, it's obviously it blows up in all directions equally. Obviously, all the momentum cancels. So it can't make anything move. That's their theory.
And so, in this example, it's...
Just draw it. Draw me a nuclear bomb. Draw me the explosion, let's say, in space. And we'll just put some little satellites around it. And you're just going to blow up a nuclear bomb in space. And then you go ahead and explain how the energy going this way didn't cancel all the energy that way, and all the energy this way didn't cancel all the energy that way, and how every single vector of energy wasn't perfectly canceled. Go ahead and show me that. Draw it. And explain how it all canceled, and none of the satellites were moved because there wasn't any momentum to move them. Zero momentum. Zero momentum means zero kinetic energy, by the way.
Kinetic energy.
I guess I'll make that argument, right? So maybe that'll be one of the videos. I might as well make that argument. It's so simple, right? Yeah, so I'll draw it. I'll make that one. I should be able to do that one in maybe 7 minutes or 5 minutes. So that's their theory, right? There's no way they can say it's not their theory, right? I mean, what's the catch they're going to use? There's no catch they can use. Right? There's no catch, right? There's absolutely nothing they could say. You could even argue the sun's doing it right now. The sun is producing zero momentum. You know, because all the momentums cancel. So there's no momentum going in any direction because all the momentum canceled. Yeah, right. Right? I mean, how else are they arguing it, right? Is there any other way to argue it? How can there be any energy if there's no momentum? So, I mean, if I have a nuclear bomb and it explodes this way, the same amount this way, and the same explodes this way, the same amount as this way, and it explodes this way, the same amount as this way, is the same amount as this way, and the same amount as that way. Their argument is all these momentums have to cancel. So I have zero energy. And I have satellites here, and I have satellites here, and I have satellites here, satellites here. And all these satellites somehow won't be blown to shit. Yeah, because there's no energy. All of the energy canceled. Right? There's no leftover momentum. All the momentum's canceled, so there can't be any leftover momentum, so there can't be any leftover kinetic energy. So nothing will move. Because this is a non-energy event. Because it's a non-momentum event. Isn't that what they're arguing? I mean, is there some way I've misunderstood that there is somehow energy available here? Even though there's no MV available? I mean, all the MVs. This is an MV here. Same MV over here. I mean, I have to cancel both of those. I can't keep them. I'm supposed to only have the leftover, whatever the leftover is. That's the only momentum that gets conserved, or the only energy that gets conserved is the leftover momentum. Well, there isn't any leftovers. I mean, it's ridiculous crap. All right. Thank you, he says. Oh, amazing. Just look at this ending of the video. Too fucking ridiculous. All right, so might as well do another. Get a couple of them done. So that was just an obvious evasion. So he didn't, he played the video, but just quote mined it to the parts that, obviously he just evaded all the arguments made about how I could exploit the free momentum. And yeah, he has no argument for all of those arguments where I could just exploit the free momentum. Knock down more bowling pins with it. Alright, so I guess this one isn't one of my the short videos. Well, we'll just see. Might as well play it.
Oh, so let's see what more batshit crazy nonsense we've got today, eh?
Because what do you do about crazy fucks on the internet? And, physicists.
Oh, how ironic.
Sort of crazy fucks. I mean, they want to get into some sort of personal confrontation, because you don't agree with their physics. And
no, I don't think that was the case. I think you got personal first, didn't you?
How?
The fact that they made a stupid
Okay, no,
rap
I'm
page
not
about
going to play this one.
Isn't it all interesting?
It wasn't stupid.
I'm not going to bother. I mean, obviously, this is just a bullshit argument. I didn't get personal with him at all. I critiqued one of his videos. And the video I critiqued, I pointed out, well, I made a bit of a mistake in the terms of I didn't recognize that you have to add these vectors. So I retracted part of that video. And then I took on one of his silly relativity videos, and I just argued how the relativity argument is nonsense. The light clocks don't work that way. Where did I get personal, you fuck? Exactly. Why don't you explain where the fuck I got personal? Where I invaded his privacy, talked about his wife or his kids, or did anything like that. Where did I do any of that, you fuck? Alright, so that one was a waste. Let's see what this... Oh, it's more of these fucking goddamn video effects.
So what do we have today?
So this will be a series of videos intended to be brief.
Oh, good. So this is the bouncing ball one. Let's see if he actually plays this. This seems familiar somehow. Yeah, no, no way I couldn't have played this last night, right? This wasn't the one I played last night, right?
On single subjects, for which I would like to hear a physicist explain how I'm saying or going to say something incorrect or wrong in the video about...
And why would you want that? Because when they do it...
Oh, fuck you, when they do it. Where do they do it? Where? Where do we see them draw it and explain how it works? Where? I mean, what a pathetic lie.
You ignore it and deny it.
Just an absolute lie.
The state of physics. So in this case, we're going to talk about springs. We're going to use a tennis ball as an example. So we'll start with...
So there's just no way he could win this argument. I mean, there's no way he could even come close to denting this argument. This argument is so pure and so true, it's completely unassailable. Let me draw it first. I'll just draw what the physicist Michael video clearly demonstrated. All right, and that's when I started thinking about this, because it doesn't make any sense. An explosion is an explosion, right? You can't change how much momentum you're going to get out of it. It's an explosion. It doesn't matter whether I have 10 pounds or 5 pounds. It doesn't matter what weights I put around it. I have to be able to collect the same amount of energy out of it. I can't get different amounts of energy based on what kind of mass I put next to the explosion. I can't make it create different amounts of momentum. That's just ludicrous. So obviously there was damn good reason to say there's something wrong with springs. I mean, in a lot of these experiments you say, fuck, what's causing this defect in the experiment? Now another thing that give me an indication of it was when I actually heard Professor Lewin say that tennis balls only give back 75% of the energy, or something like that. Oh, I think I read it on Google. Yeah, that's right. I Googled something, and the Google result had in it the fact that tennis balls really don't bounce as well as you think they do. You know, they bounce, but you know, it's only 75% of what goes in is all you're getting out. You're losing 25% every time they hit the ground or hit the wall or do whatever they're going to do. They're going to lose 25%, which is rather huge. So, so this was the physicist Michael experiment. So you have the same exact spring compression. It's built into the car. So, you know, it's a compression. The spring is compressed the same amount. All right, and so all you have is this simple experiment. You have a one-mass car and a one-mass car. All right, and then you have a two-mass car and a two-mass car. Now, they might have been three-mass. So yeah, maybe we'll make it three just to, you know, cover any argument about the amount of distortion created by the spring. So the simple, well, no, let's make it two, because then we got twice the velocity, and that keeps things really obvious. All right, so you have two two-mass cars and you have two one-mass cars, and the simple argument is that they will travel at decidedly 1/2 the velocity here. So if this is a 50 miles per hour, we'll say, and then this would be 100 miles per hour. Okay, and that's the on both sides. That's what you're going to get. I don't know why I can't draw straight tonight. And then so, but when you do the experiment and you added this up, it doesn't come out right. It comes out that these two things have the same amount. So whatever it is, let's say I could, you know, come up with any number. 75 and 75 is what they actually do. So instead of the 50 that you expect, it's 75. It's much faster. So somehow, you know, so when you total it up, you could say that, well, he uses thousands, you know, because they were heavier masses. So anyway, the total numbers were, this was going 1,000, okay, momentums, and this one was going 2,000 momentums. So the momentum wasn't conserved. One looked better. So anyway, so it's an obvious defect. Like, you can't say that, oh, let's say I wanted to measure how much energy was in this spring. Well, what experiment would I do? You know, so we're back to the gun and the bullet. You know, I change the relationship of the gun and the, you know, the bullet's mass. And all of a sudden I get completely different numbers for how much energy and how much momentum the gun can produce, or the gunpowder. And it really shouldn't matter. All these thermometers should be able to tell the same temperature. They should find the same amount of energy. I can't change how much energy was in this fucking spring by changing these masses. But the fact is, what I can change is how much energy the spring still has in it after the experiment. So the faster the cars go, all right, the more the spring is going to wobble after the experiment, because it's still going fast. When it's pushing, it has to push, and then the object leaves. So if the object's going 50, the spring's going 49. That event happens. So the spring's still going 49. And, you know, if this is going, you know, whatever, 37, whatever the number is, fast, but not you know, as fast as this, slower, then the spring's going to be moving a slower speed. So if this is going 37, then this is going only 36 when the thing leaves. So it's obviously less energy because the spring has less left in it. It's not moving as fast when the object leaves. It's not going to wobble. It's not going to oscillate as much. So it hasn't stored or taken or not released, okay, all of its energy. So anyway, that was a simple observation. It's a damn good observation. It's and it's just kind of an absolute fact that it is true. And so he's probably just going to say it doesn't matter, that how much energy is left in that spring doesn't make any difference, even though it's twice the velocity, which is a, you know, rather substantial amount of speed difference. So anyway, so I didn't explain that very well because it didn't go twice the speed. This one doesn't go twice the speed. This one goes like, you know, doesn't go half as slow. It goes a little faster than half as slow. Okay, put the video back.
With that, I couldn't do.
Right, so we're talking about springs, and you're using a tennis ball as an example.
Yeah, same difference. It's something elastic that in its you could put a tennis ball between two carts and compress it, and the carts will release. So it's the same basic principle. And the argument is that it has the same problem, that it's still moving when the object leaves, and that means it still has energy in it. Duh. I mean, that's the simple point here, is that the compressible elastic device that you're using to produce energy, the fact is it's still moving after the experiment. That means it still has energy. And in the case of the tennis ball, it wasn't moving going in. So going in, it does not do an oscillating. And it's after it hits the wall and bounces back, that's when it's oscillating. So it obviously didn't transfer the energy very well, because a big hunk of the energy went into this oscillation. It didn't release the energy. It collected the energy very well. It didn't release it very well. Simple argument.
Yeah, okay. If you'd wanted to show a spring, you're quite welcome to use my footage.
Oh, whatever. Again, nonsense. Footage of it, like I said, he's dropping weights, substantial kilogram style type weights on a spring this big, this round. Yeah. Too stupid.
Not a very good video for slow motion, but
not very good is what I actually said. It sounds like I said very good. No, it was really crappy, actually.
Anyway, you get the drift. I hope you got the drift. The ball wobbles, so it hits the ground.
Yeah, but it's a tennis ball. It's made out of rubber and felt. It's spherical.
So what? So again, he's saying that if I did the same thing with a spring, it wouldn't do the same thing. I throw the spring, it's not going to be wobbling at all. It hits the ground, bounces back up, and it's going to be doing this. You're going to deny that it's going to be the same exact effect? There's not going to be any difference. I throw a spring at the ground, it's going to do exactly what that tennis ball does. It's going to come back up in the air, and it's going to be wobbly. It's going to be oscillating. Same exact experiment, frankly. No different. Same exact effect. So again, see, he's just avoiding the subject. The subject is the effect. The subject is there's motion in the internal object. It has motion in it. And that motion had to come from the original momentum. Nothing else could create it. The original momentum, it had to be taken from the original momentum. And obviously in the case of the tennis ball, it's 25% huge.
It's got a lot more surface area, a lot more friction.
So none of that has anything to do with it, okay? So again, he's claiming there's a bunch of friction. The ball's covered with fur. There's lots of ways that, in a way, that it can't have any adhesion, can't really stick to the surface, can't really leave a bunch of energy in the surface. Now, it will heat up, so it's rubber. So we know that rubber objects do heat up as they expand and contract. But again, it's still 25%.
It's not a spring. It's made out of an entirely different material.
And it does exactly the same thing. So he's arguing that you can't use a tennis ball like a spring. When, of course you can.
It will also be rotating when it hits a little...
Oh, says you. So obviously there wasn't any rotation in the video. So bullshit there. Obviously if I throw it at an angle and I put backspin, I can create all kinds of different kinds of rotation. And again, that's my argument though. The spring will also rotate. I throw it at the ground, it's going to hit the ground, and it's going to come off at all kinds of different angles and be spinning and rotating.
But so it's not going to...
We can see when they wobble, like when it's wobbling, it doesn't wobble back and forth perfect. No, it wobbles this way, it wobbles that way, it wobbles all kinds of different ways. More indication of lost energy.
Go back. anywhere near all the amount of its energy.
You're right. So you're admitting my argument. It's not going to give back its energy, and neither is the spring.
Quite inefficient. They're a plaything.
So whatever. So he's just going to evade the whole argument once again. Yes, forced reality says yes. It's exactly the same, and look how he's evading it. He's evading the substance of the argument, which is obviously any motion has to be counted, and you have to say, where did it come from? And a simple argument, it can only come from the energy you put in. It can't come from somewhere else. So it has to be energy you put in that you've lost now to the wobbling of the ball. That has wasted some of your energy.
They're not designed to project something linearly.
It's not moving at all. All right, it's nice and steady, and then when it bounces back, it's doing this. All right, and that's a problem because that motion is what really steals an awful lot of the ball's capacity.
Yes, it did, because they're not very efficient in giving back their energy. Because it's not a spring, it's a tennis ball.
Oh, amazing.
To release the stored energy.
So he's claiming that somehow the spring is somehow doing something different. We know springs do get hot also, and so there are some waste. But we know 25% is huge.
So you put the energy in, it compresses, it creates pressure, does all kinds of good.
Also, does it follow Hooke's law? Like a spring?
Well, obviously, Hooke's law applies. I mean, I can show you documentation from, even Joule and a couple other people, where Hooke's law applied to all, inelastic conditions. I mean, it was all over the place, all of them. So, yeah, Hooke's law was used to describe atoms. It's used to describe magnetism. It was used to describe all kinds of interactions you have that create elastic reactions. I guess I should have said elastic reactions.
Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. You'd have to research it, wouldn't you?
Things, and then it fails dismally to actually.
Okay, so the irony is, I already did the research, asshole. And that's exactly what you'll find in the paper. So if if you put Hooke's law in, you'll see lots of places where they're talking about all kinds of different things besides just springs. Any elastic object essentially follows Hooke's law to some extent. I mean, all of them, like springs, have limitations. You can break things, but some things, the law applies almost through a gigantic range of motion. Springs, it's a small range of motion. Probably magnets, there's a little better range, but again, speed defeats magnetism. The faster something goes through a magnetic field, the less it's affected by the magnetic field. Just like gravity.
With the same velocity it went in with. And
yes, because tennis balls are pretty inefficient. They make a lot of noise as well, which is obviously energy loss.
Big problem is the fact that that ball is wobbling, which is the same, you could argue, as angular rotation.
So there's no real evidence that sound uses very much energy. I mean, tiny mechanisms, solar-powered things can. I have a solar-powered fountain, and if there's no low on water or something, you can hear all of this noise. And it's not adding up to much because it's still spinning, it's still pushing water, and the fact that it's making a little bit of sound is probably less than 1% of its energy. So sound is not a big deal. Sounds are really low energy mechanism. It's a very low energy making sound.
Wheels on cars.
How is a tennis ball resonating after a bounce anything like angular rotation?
that
All right,
it's
so what he just
energy
said,
that
just to
won't be
understand.
linear motion. So the heavier the wheel,
What he just said is, how is doing this, storing energy in back and forth motion, or an oscillating pendulum, how is that storage, okay, the same as wheel spinning? I mean, it's just so silly. It's exactly the same thing. The wheel spinning is just a pendulum doing 360. It's not any different. If the wheel was just oscillating back and forth this way, do you really think it makes any difference if it's oscillating in a circle? No, it doesn't make any difference. It's the same thing. It's storage of energy. The energy's not going anywhere, but there's obviously a bunch of matter moving. And that's all you have to calculate is the amount of matter moving. That's the momentum. That's also the core of the kinetic energy. No matter moving, no kinetic energy.
the smaller their turning radius, the faster the axle's spinning.
Oh, learnt something new there, have you? Add that to your repertoire. Just sneak that one in like you always knew that. Yeah.
I've been talking about that for 2 years. I talked to that about physicist Michael. It's right in the video when we're talking about doing the experiment, and I pointed out to him, well, have you accounted for the carts and the metal wheels? And he said, no, I haven't thought about that. I'll have to look into it. That's what he said. I'll have to look into it. Because he didn't know what the weight of the wheels was. So what's this bullshit? Oh yeah, that came out of nowhere? No, it's an argument I've been making for 2 fucking years, you fucking idiot. It's gotta be in like 50 of my videos where I keep talking about the plastic carts with the little fucking metal wheels. That ain't how you make a low friction cart. That ain't how you make a cart that's going to conserve its linear motion. If you don't want to conserve the linear motion, then you put little tiny metal wheels with little tiny metal axles on the goddamn cart. Because then you're assured to hide your momentum.
The other day you were...
That's like scalar energy, right? That's like hidden energy. A flywheel is like hidden energy. I put a flywheel on a car, I'm storing energy that I could use later. Duh.
Telling a PhD physicist that couldn't be true. But anyway, there you go.
That's all energy that you won't see as linear motion because it's essentially stored energy.
So because these guys didn't think of it, again, I want me to play physicist Michael say, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. He didn't consider, okay, the fact that he has to account for the angular rotation in the wheels, that will be storing real energy, real momentum will be stored in the wheels. And it won't be seen as linear velocity. It's just a fact. You can't see it.
So in any experiment, the argument is that you're going to use springs in. And if you're going to have some assumption that you're getting most or all of your energy back.
But it's not an assumption, because we can test these things. I will link to a physical experiment where I showed the efficiency of a spring.
Okay, good. Let's go see that. There won't be any efficiency in this. So that's just a lie. So let's go there. Great beginning.
They seem to be making some arguments about springs and how inefficient springs are. I don't know what number you come up with because you don't really pin yourself down to any sort of statements, therefore you can't be challenged on it. So I don't know what percentage you're saying. I think Mindless Marbles mentioned that you were saying they're about 70% efficient. Where you come up with that number, I don't know. But obviously, you can test these things. So, if we were to take a mass...
They're less than 7. They're 10% efficient, depending on how light the object is. Again, if I put a very light piece of styrofoam in front of a spring, it will not transfer hardly any momentum to the styrofoam. Because the styrofoam needs you to move it at a very high velocity, like 500 miles an hour. And the spring itself can only go, say, 100. So the spring can't possibly push it at 500 when the spring can only go 100. So obviously it'd have a huge inefficiency.
And compress.
The heavier the object you put on the spring, obviously if the spring is pushing an elephant and it's going really, really slowly, when the elephant leaves the spring is going to be doing no wobbling at all. Nothing. No wobbles. Nothing.
Press it onto a spring and then let it launch up. It will reach a height, and the height it reaches comes from the energy of the spring. That's a fact. You know, you compress the spring, you let it go, boom, and it goes to a height. So the energy came from.
So again, energy. He's saying energy, so he means kinetic energy. He doesn't mean momentum. He doesn't think springs collect weight, momentum. He thinks they collect kinetic energy.
The spring.
So he's going to prove my argument. The momentum won't be conserved. That will be what his experiment proves. Which, in my opinion, proves my point.
That's how it got there. Then when it gets there, it's in gravity then, and it's going to fall back down. So the potential energy in the spring converts to kinetic energy. It goes up, and that stores as potential energy in gravity.
There's no storing.
It's going to fall back down, and as it comes down, it's going to land on the spring again. Now, if your claim is that it's the 70% inefficient, so as this is launched up, if there's, say, 100% of energy here, and only 70% of that energy goes in to launching that mass to that height, as it comes down.
We already know it's going to lose a ton of energy because it's only going to bounce like 5 times. It's going to go up and come down, up and go less, less, less. So we know we're going to watch it lose a ton of energy. It's not going to bounce 100 times on your spring, and you know it. So you're being ridiculous. This will be really... I haven't seen this video, so this is really quite entertaining. I bet he didn't mount the spring. Yeah.
There won't be enough stored potential energy in gravity for it to compress the spring anywhere near down to what the original compression was of launching it. You know, you should see some significant difference. You know, as it comes down, it's going to be, you know, there's going to be some visible difference.
Yeah, and so you're conceding the point. There's going to be a bunch of energy lost. Where are you claiming it's lost to? We know gravity is really efficient, so we know we're not going to lose anything to friction and gravity or any of that crap. So we know the air resistance is meager. 1%, 0.5%, some kind of, you know, especially at low velocities. So, again, what's your argument? Yeah, you're proving my point. So he's proving exactly what I'm arguing.
But it's not compressing the same because there was a loss of energy when it was launched. Obviously, there is going to be some losses because we have air resistance and we have friction. You know, it's not a frictionless environment.
Where's the friction? So please explain. I mean, technically, if you mount the spring and you account for the fact that, okay, the spring can get hot, okay, there can be some of that, but do you really think that's accounting for it all? I mean, it seems obvious that the very fact that you're going to can do this with a light mass and a heavy mass and just demonstrate the point that it's going to be a lot worse. You're going to lose a lot more energy with the lighter mass than you are with the heavy one. That's going to be the absolute fact. I mean, you could argue the air resistance and the friction are going to be the same for both experiments, and it's not going to be the same in terms of the spring's wobble. The spring will be wobbling more with the lighter mass.
And obviously, we've always got air to contend with. So there's going to be some energy losses, some percentage. I don't know what that would be. Again, I could just do like you, could just come up with a figure, I could say, oh, you know, that you're going to get, you know, 20% loss or 5% loss, you know, could just make a figure up. But, you know, realistically...
So again, this is my fault that they've never done any of these experiments. So their physics has never tested any of this. And that's the amazing part of this conversation, that all of these people are defending science, and their science they're defending is a science that doesn't test anything. None of these elemental, simple experiments ever done by their physics. They make all these claims, and they don't care that they don't have these numbers, that I can't look it up on a chart. I can look up on a chart and find all kinds of things about every single metal and how elastic it is and how this and how that. How come they don't have any of that documentation for any of these types of circumstances? Nothing. Tested absolutely nothing.
There's going to be some energy loss as we launch it up, because it's, you know, it's going in the up. It's travelled up there with some friction and air resistance. It's travelled down with some friction and air resistance. So it's not going to be perfect, but
yeah. So you know, these trolls. You know, the insult. Look how simple this is. He's made the argument now 3 times. In the same, we get. How can anybody miss it? You've repeated yourself now 3 times.
You're saying there's a good, you know, 30% loss in efficiency. Again, don't know where you come up with that number.
Life experience, I would argue, pretty much. I mean, I just can't imagine. I can't think of a circumstance where something oscillating, you know, doesn't run out of the energy pretty quick. Some spring mechanism. Now, let's say when they're doing the Hooke law experiment, right? I mean, that thing keeps going forever. But the spring is attached to the weight. So it can't lose any of the energy. So you have all of the heat, right? So that's a perfect example, really. So there's an experiment where you take a spring, you put a weight on it, then you expand the spring and then release the weight. And it will oscillate for 5 minutes. Okay, maybe 3 minutes. It'll oscillate for a very long time. So it's losing, with each oscillation, it's losing almost nothing. And obviously the spring is expanding and contracting, lots of friction on all the little points connecting the mass. So there's lots of places for friction. Certainly the same air resistance is involved. And you could argue that none of those factors stole very much of the energy, because it oscillates for 3 minutes. Bouncing a ball on top of a spring where the ball leaves the spring, it runs out of energy in less than 12 seconds. Same amount of spring getting wobbled, same amount of friction, same amount of heat. So now we know that it's just the energy in the spring that's creating the entire effect. So that Hooke's law experiment, I'll write that down because that might as well be one of my 5-minute videos, right? I mean, the Hooke's law experiment compared with bouncing ball. Okay, so because it clearly shows that it's just about attached. Okay, it's just about whether it's attached or not attached. If the mass stays attached, the energy is conserved, the momentum is conserved substantially. If it releases the ball, tons of the momentum is lost. Got you again, jackass.
Because I'm pretty sure you haven't tested it, because you don't test anything.
So again, more bullshit. Yeah. Oh yeah. All the physics experiments should be done in my fucking basement. I should build myself a telescope out of plastic bags or something and do the Eddington experiment. I mean, this is just such a pile of shit. This physics that doesn't have to prove their arguments. You have to prove us wrong. You have to prove our Holy Ghost doesn't exist. We don't have to prove he does. I mean, it's just so obviously this is the same as religion. These are just inquisitioners. They don't care about the fucking truth. They care about preserving their fable.
Just pluck numbers out your head, you know, and make statements that suit your arguments.
So, and all those arguments, I explained where I got it from. So, before he made this video, when I talked about the tennis ball, I got that right off of Google. I said it. I got it off of Google. Now, I didn't do any tennis ball experiments. That's what Google said. The average is 75% back. You have some better evidence? Fine. I'm not disagreeing with it.
You know, I suppose in your world, if they were 70% inefficient, it would, you know, play to your ideas. But again, these things can be tested, so we'll move to that.
Yeah, please do.
This footage is from another experiment, but I thought it'd be useful here. So initial, I'm calling 0.75 centimeters, and then it's launched the energy from the spring.
So we see that the spring rubs against this metal rod. We know that the object is rubbing against the metal rod, so he doesn't take any of that into account with anything he does. So all of these experiments are a little bogus because we don't know anything about how much friction, metal-to-metal adhesion there is. So if this pipe is as big as the hole in the object, obviously there can be a ton of air that's trapped in there. It's creating a vacuum. It's sticking. So just complete bullshit. But anyway, the point will be, let's see how many times it bounces. And that'll prove the point. We can figure out exactly how much it's losing because, you know, it's going to only bounce 6 times or something.
Converts to kinetic energy, but it'll raise it to a height. I'm calling that at 7.5 centimeters, so that's its...
I don't know why you would call it 7.5 when it's 6, but whatever.
Maximum height. Now, I froze it, you know, I have an anti-gravity here, I've freeze framed it, and it will drop back down. You said it's 30% inefficient. As you can see there, yes, there is a little bit of a gap, there is some loss, but it's certainly not 30%. And then obviously it's going to...
Where the hell is the experiment? What are you talking about? 30% where? Where did you show us anything here? What the fuck was that? What did he just do? I don't understand it at all. He did one oscillation. How did he prove anything? It's not even a full oscillation. So he's saying the first time it went 7.5, but he didn't show that. Oh, that's what he did. I lost my damn fucking smoker. Okay. Alright, so that was ridiculous. Let's just see this again. So he didn't show... I don't know what he did here. I just don't get it. He's just shooting it into the air. He had his finger on it. He released it. It only went once. Let's see. I must have missed something somewhere. Yeah, this goes all the way back to here. That was weird. The video skipped? I must have hit something.
We'll move to that. This footage is from another experiment, but I thought it'd be useful here. So, initial, I'm calling 0.75 centimeters, and then it's launched the energy from the spring, converts to kinetic energy, but it'll raise it to a height. I'm calling that at 7.5 centimeters.
So, what is this? Can anybody in the chat understand what the fuck this shows? He's showing... He's got a stop on the spring, which I don't even understand. And so he compresses it, releases it, goes up to 6, and he says that's 7.5, which I don't even understand. And that somehow this proves how much energy was lost. I don't even understand how it could possibly prove anything. What the fuck was this?
So that's its maximum height. Now, I froze it, you know, I have an anti-gravity here, I've freeze framed it.
Okay, you can see the springs moving up and down, so you can see that it's still got energy in it. It's moving up and down, so he doesn't have the spring attached to anything.
It will drop back down. You said it's 30% inefficient.
So we want to see it pop up again. That's what we need to see. Are you going to show that part, please?
As you can see there, yes, there is a little bit of a gap. There is some loss, but it's certainly not 30%. And then obviously it's going to bounce back up, and that will show us how much energy there is left there.
And so it went higher, so somehow it made free energy. How does this make any sense to anybody? Did you see what just took place? It goes up to 6, and then now it's going up to 8 plus. Obviously some parallax here, so it's probably just 8. How does this make sense? I'm sorry, I can play it one more time, but I just don't understand how this video can be at all recognized as sensible. This is insensible mush. He's got his finger on it. He's going to release the spring. It's not going to go to 9. It's just going to go to 6.
I thought it'd be useful here. So initial, I'm calling 0.75 centimeters.
I don't know what this 0.75 centimeters original is. What does that even mean? What does that mean? I can't figure out what that means.
And then it's launched. The energy from the spring converts to kinetic energy, which will raise it to a height.
Alright, so the top hits 9. Alright, and the bottom hits 6. Okay, so
I'm calling that at 7.5 centimeters, so that's its maximum height. Now,
I just don't know why you would call that 7.5 centimeters, but whatever.
I froze it. I have an anti-gravity here. I've freeze framed it, and it will drop back down. You're saying it's 30% inefficient. As you can see there, yes, there is a little bit of a gap. There is some loss, but it's certainly not.
I don't even understand how this spring is loaded. Why is this stop here? What's the function of the stop?
30%, and then obviously it's going to bounce back up.
Obviously the spring's not attached to this thing. Why is this stop here? What is its purpose? You know, did you push on it? Is it made out of rubber? You know, and you pushed down on it, so you even added more energy to it somehow. But anyway, all right, so let's play
and that will show us how much energy there is left there. And I'm
okay, so obviously it's way short of the 9. Okay, way short.
calling that at 7.
Right. So it's a full centimeter less. So it's at least, you could argue, at least 10%. But we know it's not going to bounce, 20 times. Big bounces. So we know that it's going to lose. That's probably more than 10% of the real energy in the spring, because the spring it's never going to be 1. It's never going to do this. It's only in a range that Hooke's law only applies in this range here.
Centimeters. So we've roughly got a difference of half a centimeter, 5 mil.
Well, it says you. Yeah, so with parallax I'd say it's more like a full centimeter, but whatever.
Again, I froze it there. We're not doing anti-gravity, and then it's going to drop back down after that. The slow-mo runs out.
Oh, so
just
yeah, slow-mo runs out. So you could film it in non-slow motion, just see how many times it bounces. You could do that. I mean, with their real bounces. We're not talking about the little tiny vibrations. No point in counting all of those. Just count the big ones. And what are you going to get? 5 bounces before it's tiny little bounces? So in 5 turns, it loses, 90%. So it's going to lose 90% in 5 bounces. So 5 into 9, it's going to be at least 20% per bounce.
Also, it's taking the measurements roughly from the centre of mass, so centre of mass initial to the centre of mass final. Calling the initial start position 0.75 centimeters. We've got a travel of 7.5, so we take the 0.75 off the 7.5, and that gives us 6.75 distance. So that was for the first launch. As it came down and bounced again, we'll go with the same initial because it was practically there, and it got to 6.2. Got to 7. So minus the initial, we got a travel distance of 6.25. So
I'd say his half centimeter measurement was bullshit. Obviously the camera should have been at the location where you're doing your measurement, so there's no parallax, but I think it's more than just a half a centimeter. So you should be using 75 as the number, and obviously you're going to end up with close to 10%.
Difference of half a centimetre, 5 millimetres, whatever you want to say. So the two distances, so 6.25 divided by 6.75 equals 0.9259, which can round up to 93. So
Why would you round it up to 93? But anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's really 10% or more. So substantial.
93%. So after the initial launch,
Again, it's with his bogus measurements and the silly stop he has on the spring for no reason I can understand. Why is the spring confined inside that cylinder used as a stop? Oh, that must be because he was doing some other experiment. Okay. So this is inadvertent film. So he's not even deliberately doing the test.
and obviously incurring some friction there, coming down, incurring some friction there, resistance there, getting back up, and again, incurring friction. We have 93%.
Right. Now, did you do it with another mass? No. So do it with a light mass and then a heavy mass. You know, a 1 mass and a 3 mass, or a 1 mass and a 2 mass, and a 1 mass and a 4 mass, and see what the total momentum is. And if you're getting a different total momentum out of the spring, I mean, the clear argument is then something's wrong.
Efficiency. So which is nowhere near the claim of, you know, the 70% efficient. So you're saying a 30% loss just by launching it. This has been launched, gone up, come back down, and relaunched, and we're still at 93%.
Hooke's law will conserve. So if the masses are attached, I pull the spring the same distance, doesn't matter what the weight is, I'll get the same momentum in the oscillation. So it's going to be another clear example that if the weight stays attached to the spring and you create an oscillator, mass won't change how much momentum is in the object. But if you let the object get released from the spring, mass makes a huge difference. So I've got you again.
And this is evidence. This is a proof. You know, we're not talking about fuzzy wuzzy feelings here. We're talking about data points, actual real world evidence. So your claim of spring inefficiency doesn't hold, does it? Also,
all right, so it's that you didn't prove any of that, like I said. So bounce a real object on the spring without the stop, without the nonsense, and you're going to get what, 7 bounces? Maybe.
Forgot to mention, obviously, the weight of the mass. It's less than 25 grams, so not heavy. Not, I don't know what your class is like mass. If we've got to extract some atoms and launch them, I don't know if we've got to go that light, but in my mind, 25 grams isn't particularly heavy, because your contention was the lighter the mass, the less energy.
Yeah, which you didn't demonstrate in any way, so you didn't do that experiment. It just, like I said, the logic is inescapable. The spring will show it. Like I said, launch the spring all by itself, and you'll see how much energy the spring has when it's not pushing something. So it'll show you what 100% of the energy stuck in the spring looks like. And then you can compare that to what the spring looks like after you launch different weights. And it'll show quite clearly the spring oscillates a lot less the heavier the weight it pushed.
Would get into it. And clearly that's not the case, is it?
Well, fuck you. Yeah, so that was garbage. And it proved my point, right? So he's saying, oh, it's not 20%, it's 9%. Yeah, and I could argue, well, if you just measure your experiment a little better, you get up to 15%. So he's saying 15% isn't significant when it's gigantic. 15% loss is huge. Yeah, I gotta do this. Okay. All right, let's see if there's any comments worth paying any attention to. I can't get the mouse to work here. Let's see. You're hilarious. Let's see. Sorry for being a woman. Okay, we already did all that. The wobbling from the tennis ball is exactly like what you see in a spring. Right. Okay. Have you already taken the IQ test? So what is this? What's the use of this? Are you doubting that? I've made a simulation duplicating charge using the simplest mechanism possible. It creates repulsion and attraction. Does everything Maxwell's drawings of charge does. And you're going to say I'm not a clever or smart person. It's just ridiculous. I could tell you the true story, okay, that I failed grammar school. Straight D's and F's. Never even got a C. And every time they talked about holding me back, right, and I was the youngest kid in the class, because I had a November birth date. I was the youngest kid in the class of 30 kids. And I failed everything. And somehow they didn't keep me back. And the reason why is because, yes, when they gave me IQ tests, I must have performed awful fucking well. So fuck you. Okay. If you get over 80, I'll pay $1,000. Yeah, you won't pay shit, your little sock account, you fucking piece of dirt. God damn, what an asshole. Realistically, these people think I've discovered that these springs wobble. I discovered it. Nobody else paid any goddamn attention. I figured out how the double slit experiment works. It's perfectly rational. I can tell you exactly where the bands will be. Predict it all. Okay, you motherfucker. And these assholes will just throw this cheap shit. Amazing. Amazing. They won't admit their physics hasn't done any experiments. They won't concede any of that. Where does your physicist talk about just turning a scale sideways and seeing what velocity creates their weight? Why don't you think that's a clever experiment? Just explain why it's not clever or interesting. Like, as a scientist, I wouldn't want to know the answer. Why don't you just explain to me that you wouldn't want to know the answer? Oh, it's just so petty. Okay. Looks like one of those science experiments I did in 5th grade. Well, who cares? Frankly, it's a little sloppy, but, he's proving my point, so okay, but yes, look, it's a lot better than the videos we were dealing with in the beginning, right? Where, it's got a 15 frame per second frame rate. Obviously the 900 frames per second is a lot fucking better. Now him claiming it's 9,000 is kind of bullshit. Don't worry about losing money. Gary wouldn't even be able to score 50. Yeah, so whatever this is, love for Adam Lanza. So this is the same guy who's making a hero out of a school shooter. Wow. Gee, that's really that shows such a high IQ when you glorify and constantly remind the world of a school shooter. That's just proving how brilliant you are. Amazing. Alright, let's see. Imagine Gary try to do a physics SAT, whatever that is. So, maximum heart or something. Fuck you. These aren't physics arguments. So again, it's just so ridiculous. What, you think you can really say something to disparage my intelligence? You really think you can get away with that? God damn, it's just so amazing. Especially you think I have some doubt? Oh, brother. Too fucking stupid. This is as bad as the guy editing my penis. This is just such desperate nonsense. I can't make Gary, be my way, so I'll just deform him in an image. Yeah, because I can't win any other way. Let's see. Gary is I'm not the smartest person, but I'm obviously not dupable. I'm not a fool. I don't believe shit because somebody told me so. They show me or they fuck off. All right, and I've seen a lot of people in my life. Yeah, well, like I said, I'm not saying it doesn't take somebody. This is like being the difference between me being honest, okay, and being a liar. If you're an honest person, you're going to ask these. You're going to find things that you're going to say, "What the fuck?" You're going to say, "Why the fuck is something that way?" You're not going to just make excuses and walk away. You're going to want to know what you want to go. You're going to want an answer. You're going to know why it happened. You're going to be curious and you want to understand it so you can prevent it in the future. You know, a plane crashes. If you're a clever person, you say, gee, let's figure out why it crashed so we can stop that from happening. It's a fucking logical thing to do. But you people don't care about any of that. You believe the angels are to blame, and so we can't criticize the angels. They decide to kill somebody. Ah, jeez, people are just so pathetic. All right, bunch of retractors. Okay, so yeah, I got rid of a bunch of people. I discovered springs wobbled. Hilarious. So he thinks it's a joke that these experiments are done with this variable. It's called the variable, moron. You haven't heard of variables? There's something Einstein brought up a lot just because there was so many experiments where you're just like saying, well, there could be a hidden variable. And there could be one right out in our open. There could be one right in your fucking face. Well, this is a variable right in your fucking face, asshole. And you're making a joke out of it. So again, proving that you don't give a fuck about science. You don't give a fuck about the truth. Jesus, what a piece of garbage. I mean, right there, it's proven right in the video, right in this video, the guy proves that there's 10% of lost energy. And he's saying, this isn't significant. This isn't at all interesting. 10% of the energy is lost from the linear motion. At least 10%, right? Yeah. Just amazing. Oh, God. This planet, again, so then at least people just keep proving that that's all there's on this planet is scummy liars. What is the odds? 100 to 1? People who can concede just to something simple like, yes, physics should have done these experiments. How many of these fuckers have ever shown up and said, yeah, I really think science should be about experiments. They should prove what they're saying. That's the way science should work. Have any of them said those words? Not one of them. These pieces of human garbage, not one of these fuckers have said that. What is this other? This is the wrong video. How the hell have I got the wrong video up? Whose fault is it? Somebody's fault. Okay, this is the one I want. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Didn't just make up some number. I tested it.
You're wrong, and if you have some assumption...
Right, so I never said springs lose 25%. I did say tennis balls are tennis balls. That's what tennis balls lose. It's probably in this video where I say some other number. So let's see what the other number I say is.
And that it doesn't matter what mass you put on it, you'll lose the same proportional amount of energy. You're wrong. Okay, so
that was the real argument. It was about the fact that light things you lose a lot more than with heavy things. So he's ignoring the substance of the video, which is this head-to-head comparison between pushing something very light and pushing something very heavy, and the fact that you'll get a hell of a lot more momentum into the heavy thing than you'll get into the light thing.
And again, you're saying it's wrong. Have you tested it? Have you got any evidence to show this?
it's a pretty important subject. I haven't seen any physicist that talked about it.
So he's saying I have to prove that's the argument that's intractable. I mean, the very fact that the spring leaves the object and the spring continues to move at the velocity. And so if the thing is moving 50 miles an hour, the spring has to be moving 49. And if the spring's moving 25 miles an hour, the spring has to be moving 24. And that's a huge difference between how much motion the spring is going to have left in it. He's saying I need to prove that I somehow even need to show that, when it's those absolute facts of those numbers you can't undo. So all you have to do is say somehow that if the spring is going 50 miles an hour when the object leaves, it doesn't mean that it's got more energy in it. So you can think that, but the default's going to be, no, that's got to be costing energy. There's no way you can have it your way. Your way won't work. Ah, that's better. yeah, much better. Let's see, this isn't right there. That's better.
So, it's sort of glaring in terms of the fact that it really should be talked about by physicists.
Not if it's not a problem.
Okay, so it's even if it was 10%. He's saying not if it's not a problem. How is 10% not a problem? And again, the point is that if it's an average of 10%, that means it could be 1% or it could be a lot more. So depending on how light the object is, again, I can make this the difference 1 to 100%. I can make it a gigantic difference. Pushing a mouse, pushing an elephant.
They're going to do experiments where they're going to move objects with springs. And that includes a lot of experiments where they use a spring to create a super elastic experiment.
Okay, and the point I made before is that the explosive is the other version. So it has been done with an explosive, a cap. Okay, Feynman. There's an audio recording of him doing the experiment, and it didn't work the first time they did it, and they finally got it to work. Blah blah blah. But ideally, that's what you'd want to use to do these experiments, because you're not going to have this spring problem. You're not going to be losing this 10% plus. And again, the point is it's going to be 10% in one case and 5% in another case. Or it's going to be 2% in one case and 12% in another case.
They use them because they're very efficient.
So the whole argument, right, you just proved they're very inefficient. 10% is huge, and again, it could be as much as 30%, 40%, depending on how big a difference there is in the masses. So what a big fucking lie.
A good quality steel spring it can be anywhere from 90 to like 95% efficient.
Says you. So where did you prove that? And where did you prove no matter what weight you use? Where did you do any of that? Again, those tests are made with a spring that's oscillating, Hooke's law, with the weight still attached. Those aren't launching tests, retard. Show me the launching test, jackass.
In the link I provided, I got just under 93, so middle of the road there. So that's about right.
Says you. Okay, first I say your measurement's shit. And, second I say you didn't compare dropping a 1 mass and a 3 mass, where you have a 3 times the difference in the velocity. Huge difference in the velocity when the object leaves. Huge difference in the velocity when the object leaves. Huge difference in the velocity when the object leaves.
That's how efficient they are. They're designed that way.
So just horse shit.
Like I say, a tennis.
Yeah, I'm just saying he's trivializing 10%. And again, in the experiment, you're talking about 3 times the difference in the velocity, 10 miles an hour versus 30 miles an hour. And he's saying that won't be a significant difference.
Well, it's not a spring.
And like I said, when physicist Michael did the experiment, the difference was huge, 30%.
The problem is simply that when you move something with a spring, it has to have contact with the spring.
Well, fucking duh.
So I shouldn't establish this as a premise, this contact argument. that's what the difference is between a Hooke's law experiment and these experiments, is that there's contact isn't maintained, so it shouldn't be emphasized. Yeah. Oh, these people are just such pieces of garbage. What just human garbage?
Nothing like stating the bleeding obvious, there, is there?
No, it's obviously it isn't obvious to you people. You just mentioned a test of a spring's efficiency. Do you know if the spring was tested as it launches an object? What test was it, moron? You quoted it.
Since Hooke's law only applies in terms of oscillations if the spring is actually attached to the mass, so it always has contact. But as soon as you have a spring mass system where contact is lost, then there's...
Well, if you're launching something...
See, yes, exactly. Yeah, when you're launching something, it's a completely different experiment, isn't it?
then at some point contact is going to be lost, isn't it? Usually when the spring extends back to its original length.
Oh, bullshit. So, I mean, obviously that's silly, right? It's obviously extended beyond its original length. You know, that's the only way it can really be pushing something. It always has to go further than it started. That's an oscillator. It has to go this way, and then it has to go too much that way, and then it has to go too much this way, and then it has to go too much that way before it goes back to where it was originally. So he doesn't even understand how oscillators work.
This problem where, let's say this is a light mass, should make it smaller. Well, it doesn't matter. You get it. We're just there. This one's more dense. There.
Bit like
Okay. When you're shooting a light mass, let's say the mass was going to go 50 miles an hour. The spring,
You know what spring you're using there?
as it's expanding, is still going 49 when the mass leaves at 50. So when the mass is leaving, the spring still has a lot of velocity that it's not using because there's no mass to push. So this is the...
But again, this is just shit that you say. You haven't tested it, have you?
essentially...
So again, the argument is, yes, it's just shit I'm saying. I'm saying there's a spring going 50 miles an hour, and then there's a spring going 25 miles an hour. I'm saying that's going to be the absolute fact. You're going to argue to me that somehow the spring going 50 miles an hour has exactly the same energy still in it as the spring that's going 25 miles an hour. I'm going to say that's an idiotic conclusion drawn by you. On its face, idiotic. This is like your unresolvable math. You can't conserve both the momentum and the kinetic energy when you move energy from objects of different mass. The math never works.
The tennis ball's doing when it flies off and it's lost contact with the surface and now oscillates. Spring is going to do the same thing. And the catch is that when you're pushing a heavy mass, say you're only going 10 miles an hour, that's how fast the spring's going. It's only going 10. So there's going to be a lot less energy stuck in.
But in each case, the spring stored an amount of energy. It extended back through that distance with that force into that mass, so it delivered the same amount of energy.
Okay, so he's just saying somehow it's the same energy. Even though the spring is going to continue to oscillate a lot more, it's going to create more heat, it's going to do all kinds of things, because it's going to oscillate a lot more. He knows that. He knows if the spring is still going 50 miles an hour, it's going to be oscillating. It's going to go to 47, 35, 22. It's going to oscillate down. It's going to wind down. And the other spring going 9, because, the thing left at 10, it's just going to oscillate a little bit because it doesn't have any energy left in it, barely. I mean, to deny the argument, it's just this is as obvious as the rolling friction argument. The sliding over thin ice, that your weight is changing. Your weight per inch changes the faster you move across the surface. Just an absolute fact. I don't even need to prove that. It's so it's so obviously true.
To each mass, regardless of how fast it was going.
The spring, because
Nonsense.
velocity of the spring is much lower. It'll be doing a lot less oscillating, and it would have put.
And again, why will it be doing a lot less oscillating? Have you tested it? Have you shown?
So again, he's actually claiming that I need to show him that a spring still going 50 miles an hour is going to oscillate more than a spring going 9. I have to show him that because he doesn't understand how that's possible. So, I mean, this again, yeah, it'd be great if we had these experiments, but their physics hasn't done any experiments. So again, not conceding that, well, I wish our physicist did the experiment. He can't even say those words. Why can't he just say those fucking words? This silly weasel. Why can't he just say, yes, it's interesting. Okay, I get it. That does seem like you're going to lose more energy if the spring's still going 50 miles an hour and the other one's going 9 miles an hour. Yeah, it does seem like you're going to lose more energy. That one's going to wobble more. Can't just concede and say, yeah, that might be accounting for some change in the experiment results.
That's to be true.
Much more energy into the object. So the simple truth is springs have a huge bias in the sense that they'll always put more energy, okay, in heavy things.
Right, so they've got a huge bias. What's that? That's a pretty ambiguous statement, that.
No, how is it ambiguous? It's a huge bias. So in the case of the physicist Michael experiment, it's a huge bias, 33% more momentum in one experiment than the other. And again, they're going to claim that it's conservation of kinetic energy because of the very fact that they have completely changed how much momentum. So this is the only reason why your experiments come out right, is because the spring is making them come out your way, because it's destroying the energy of the light thing, okay, which is making it very convenient for you to argue the momentum wasn't destroyed.
So no numbers, no evidence, just you say so, so therefore it's so. Doesn't work like that, does it?
I think it does work exactly that way. When somebody makes an argument about a paradox or a variable that is significant and relevant, that's all I have to do is raise the suspicion that this is a variable, it needs to be accounted for, and the absolute fact is your physics has never accounted for it. Just like they don't account for the fact that linear friction changes with velocity. Okay, the fucking dickhead from the Catholic University, that moron shows a video pushing an object with a constant force. He assumes the friction is constant. So even when the thing's moving very slowly across the surface, okay, it's the same amount of pressure on the surface, same amount of friction when it's going its maximum speed. You think that's valid physics. Okay, I'm arguing, obviously, I don't think that's valid at all. To ignore variables that are real and significant isn't good science. So you're going to ignore the tiny wheels on the carts, and you're going to pretend it doesn't matter. You're going to ignore clay on the carts. You're going to pretend that doesn't matter. You're going to ignore springs and the fact that they are oscillating a different amount. You're going to say that doesn't matter. That's not science. That's religion.
Well, the simple argument is that physics does lots of spring experiments, and none of the
Yeah, they use them because they're very useful and very efficient.
Yeah, very, very.
physicists talk about the fact that springs have a
Very convenient for tricking people. You pretend it's elastic, you pretend it's fair, you pretend it's not a rigged experiment, and it's clearly rigged.
substantial bias against light things, where
Again, a substantial bias. What's that? Give us some numbers. Give us some evidence. Give us some
I gave you the
experiments to
numbers.
show
I gave
what
you
you're
the
saying.
numbers back in when physicist Michael did the experiment 2-3 years ago. I pointed out, look at the two experiments, the same fucking spring. And in one experiment it creates 1,000, in the other experiment it creates 2,500. How the fuck can that make any goddamn sense?
Again, you're just making shit up.
they're going to give disproportionate.
No, I've been fair to the truth, and you're unfair to the facts. To discount the fact that it's a reasonable curiosity requiring some investigation, all right, that's the only reasonable statement to make. That it's worth investigating. It's a real variable. It should be isolated and understood completely. You're the one against that. I'm the one arguing for it. Clear distinction between us. I want more experiments. You don't.
Proportional amounts of energy to the lighter the thing you put in front of one. So the heavier the object.
But when these experiments are done, that doesn't happen. That's not what's observed. So again, you're just talking crap.
So that's an absolute lie. Every single time it's observed. That's the whole fucking point of me raising it, you fucking idiot, is that every fucking time there's this huge difference in how much energy you collect, just like in the gun and the bullet thing, in the sense that you're saying 2,000 joules goes this way and 2 joules goes that way. It's an obvious difference, okay, and it needs to be explained. And the simple fact is that you put 2 heavy bullets in, you get 4,000 momentums, let's just say, or joules, and you put 2 light bullets in and you get less. You know, we're just arguing with a spring. If you use a spring, you're guaranteed that you're going to get less energy into the 2 bullets. Less momentum, sorry. Less momentum will be in those bullets because the spring is going to have more energy left in it. If you launch something at a hugely different velocity, we're talking about 1,000 times difference in the velocity, how much the spring is going to be oscillating would be huge. You lying sack of shit.
The more energy you'll get out of the spring. So the same spring compression will, for example, create, let's say, for a heavy object, it would be 100 momentums. For a very light object, it might be 10. So they're...
Again, you have no fucking clue what you're talking about here, do you?
really bad.
All right, so I'm just saying, I'm not going to go
doing-
dig up you know, I already did this. I already showed it in physicist Michael's experiment. It's glaring right there in front of you. The same spring compression and the total momentum created in the experiment is substantially different. We're talking about 1,000, you know, 2,000 to 3,000. I think the numbers were closer to 2,000 and 3,000. So it's a substantial 33% difference.
In clinical experiments to calculate or find the how much energy is transferred, or to make
The energy is in the spring, it's stored in the spring. Doesn't matter what mass you put in front of it, you get the same amount of energy.
Okay, so we got that as a
comparisons
statement.
between.
So there's no evidence that's true. There's absolute good reason to believe it's not true, because the spring wobbling more is absolute evidence that the energy didn't get into the object. And the more it's wobbling, the only place that wobble can come from is the energy it was supposed to give the object. Clearly, it's not going to be giving the energy to the object if it's wobbling. So it's just a complete ignoring of the whole fucking video and the whole fucking subject. He's just denying it happens. All right, and that's his prerogative as a lying religious nut. Okay, he doesn't think he has to show anything or prove anything. He can just make his claims. Well, he's made his fucking claim. I'm saying it's silly and retarded. There's no way a reasonable person says, yes, a spring moving 50 miles an hour and wobbling is the same energy caught in the spring as a spring wobbling with only 10 velocity. A tiny little wobble is the same as a big giant wobble. Anybody who says that, I'm saying, is really, 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 really fucktarded and stupid. And that's what he's saying. Because he knows that's the outcome. He knows the spring going 50 miles an hour is going to be wobbling more. He knows it. So he's just denying it.
Two different things, like an 8-pound bowling ball and a 16-pound bowling ball, or some other kind of experiment. You want to test them for how much energy they can produce, where you can't launch them with spring.
But we know how much energy it's going to produce, because that's the amount of energy stored in the spring. If you compress it to the same amount, that's all you've got. You can't...
Okay, so he just ignored the whole thing, right? So I should just stop right there. It's just ignoring the entire subject, pretending it doesn't happen. There's no difference. The spring wobbling with like this is exactly the same energy as the spring wobbling like that. Same exact energy. That's what he's arguing. So it's just so ridiculous. So fucking ridiculous. All right, so Barack Obama, you're blocked. Won't even bother reading anything you wrote, so ha-ha on you. Moron. Let's see. Wow, you sound really credible. I don't know. I guess she was talking to the moron. Why do you talk to trolls? Yeah. Is there some point? Anyway. Wow, I actually thought you were trolling, but you sound serious. I'm not sure Gary would want to take an IQ test, though, because I think it wouldn't be worth his time. But it's nice that you're making a, whatever, effort. Effort to do what? I'm really not interested. I don't think IQ tests measure anything anyway. So I would almost argue that IQ tests are like, you might as well just put a puzzle in front of somebody and test how fast they can put the puzzle together. Right? I mean, what are you testing? So any IQ test, in my opinion, any IQ test that includes things like what's the capital of France or something, I'm going to say, who cares? This is trivia. Who won the Academy Award in 1942? Who the fuck cares? Right? So if that's on the IQ test, I'm saying who cares right there. So the only IQ part of the IQ test that I think has any value is the problem solving part. You know, where's the chicken hiding in the tree or some kind of bullshit. Okay? Those are the tests that matter. And, you know, trivia, no, I don't see the point of any of those questions being on an IQ test. How you know, it's like asking something specific like what chess maneuver did Billy Bob Pupek use in the 1943 chess championship or something? Who cares? That should be something my neurons are wasting doing? No, my neurons aren't wasted doing any of that shit. But whatever. I'm just saying the point is that when they gave me IQ tests as a kid, I'm just saying I obviously scored very well. That's all I'm saying. You don't take the youngest kid in the class and not keep him back, okay, if he's failing every subject, unless you think there's some reason why he's probably going to fix that. And the only reason they had was the IQ test, fucktards. They gave me the test just because I was failing, okay, and they wanted to find out, well, is he retarded? And guess what? They found out I wasn't retarded. Oh, God, you people just say, you know, you're just such pieces of shit. I mean, you want to think I'm stupid. Go ahead. I don't care. It's like you wanting to draw me with a small penis. Go ahead. I don't give a damn. Okay? That's your prerogative, you fucking losers. All right? You know, you're not going to hurt me any. You think you're going to hurt my vanity any? Or you think you're going to destroy my confidence any? I mean, it's ridiculous. You just make me more confident. Because I say, look how desperate they are. They can't make a physics argument. And instead, they have to imply some kind of, oh, he has body odor. They have to go on some completely different subject. Because they can't touch my fucking arguments. They can't even make a video and draw. And these assholes are gonna criticize my intelligence? They can't make a fucking video and draw in it. Oh, it's hilarious. Oh yeah, I'm so much dumber than silly troll who can't even, you know, manufacture a decently named sock account. It's just too funny. Let's see, yeah, I said to him that you wouldn't be interested in my message, and I'm sure he was trolling because he's, well, whatever, I don't care. You again, why are you talking to trolls? Why? Some asshole starts talking about some subject that has absolutely nothing to do with the physics. And again, you often do this. I'm here to argue physics. All this other shit is not what I'm requesting from you fuckers. Ugh, Jesus Christ. God, I just do hate this planet. There's hardly even a pretty weed here anywhere. Certainly no flowers in this human garden, you know. But there's not even a barely attractive weed. Just me. Yeah. I mean, really, I should be qualified as an alien life form. Because I just have nothing in common with you fucks. Absolutely nothing.
get any more or less. There's no free energy.
Things, because the same energy won't get into both balls. The heavier one will get more of the momentum than the light one will, and so if you have the assumption...
And again, you're making this assumption that there's momentum stored in springs. Again, demonstrate it.
Oh, so again, the argument is it's weight. Yeah, that's what's stored in a fucking spring. I could show you a spring scale, and I could show you it measures weight. And what is weight? Weight is momentum, you retard. Because I can prove it by tipping the scale sideways, you dumb fuck. God damn, what an asshole. He really doesn't understand that you can't you can't make weight or pressure with anything other than momentum. Kinetic energy always fails to do any of that because it can never be converted into any of that. Your scalar energy doesn't have any vector.
Show it to be true.
I did
that
show
the
it.
spring is going to give the same amount of energy. The assumption is wrong. And it will...
But the evidence says otherwise.
Okay, so he has no evidence. I mean, I shouldn't even play these videos. You have zero evidence that the evidence shows otherwise. You have no experiment where you've tested these springs at all. Brozo did actually test it in the sense that when he was trying to push his air cart, do you remember? He was complaining that I can't make it go twice as fast. I can't make the... Because going twice as fast means the spring he was using was a piece of crap. Remember the stupid solder sucker, crappy little shit spring? And that was the whole point. It had a plunger in it, all this other defects. And so it made the problem even worse because it was giving momentum to a plunger. You dumb fuck. God, you're so dishonest. It's just so disgusting. What creature, what kind of slimy creature gave birth to you?
It's not an assumption. You're making an assumption and you're showing no evidence to support it.
So lie some more.
Destroy the credibility.
I've shown springs wobbling. I showed the ball wobbling, okay? Right there's evidence. All right, and the harder you throw the ball, the more it's going to be wobbling, so there's the evidence.
Of the experiment. So the simple argument is first, physicists never talk about it. If they have talked about it, they don't pay any attention to it because every single time they do an experiment with a spring, they make the assumption that the same energies...
No, again, they don't make the assumption. You can test and measure these things.
So this
You're
is such a
making an
lie.
assumption.
Such a lie. You just
project-
made the assumption. You just stated it. You just stated it as a fact. You have absolutely no fucking physical experiment doing that. None. Where did you test light thing against heavy thing? Where did you do that, you fucking liar? Where have you seen that experiment, you fucking liar? Oh, you're just so... disgusting.
That's all. Because you've got fucking nothing. You know nothing.
You're the one that knows nothing. You have
Logic.
nothing except
When
lies.
it's not. Alright. So, my challenge to physicists is explain where this isn't a problem for doing spring experiment.
It isn't a problem. You want it to be a problem to fit your bullshit fucking theory.
Okay, so where did he explain anything? Did he explain how it doesn't happen? No. Does he explain how it's illogical to think that wobbling faster means you have more energy? Did he explain how if a pendulum's swinging further that it has more energy in it, that would be a silly conclusion to draw? No. Same pendulum, it's going like this. And then it just goes like this. He's arguing that they have the same energy in them. Same energy. Obviously. That would be the default conclusion, right? I mean, it's just so fucking obvious that this motion in the pendulum is exactly the same as this. This is the same energy. What a piece of shit. To have to even argue this crap.
Or explain how it is in effect. So, either explain how
It isn't a fact.
it's not a problem, or explain how it's not a fact.
It's not a problem because, like I say, you can do the experiments and it shows it's not a big issue. Again, you know...
Big lie. I mean, just a big, fat fucking lie. Amazing. I'm sorry, it's amazing. Twice the velocity, not an issue. The spring's moving twice as fast. Oh, yeah, that's just not more energy. The pendulum swinging twice as far. Oh, that's not more energy.
Yes, they're not going to transfer 100%. That is in an idealised case. A good quality spring, you're looking between, say, 90 to 95% efficient when launching with them.
So we were just making that shit up, right? Yeah, of course. He's just making it up.
So yes, there's going to be some loss. There's friction. There's air resistance. We
eliminated all that already. So again, ignore the argument some more. I brought up the Hooke law part, where if the weight is still attached, you don't lose hardly anything, and it oscillates 100 times. The weight isn't attached; it oscillates 7 times. So just keep lying, you fuck.
It's not ideal. You're not going to get 100%, but you're claiming. Well, what are you claiming? Substantial loss. What's that? Give us a number. Pin yourself.
Yeah, okay. I'm giving you the number. Twice the velocity of a pendulum is going to be like twice the energy. Twice the motion in the pendulum is going to be twice the energy. Yeah, 50%.
Down, so we can test it and prove you wrong, but you don't do that.
Oh, whatever. So again, test this. Like all these tests should have already been done again. Somehow I have to do all of these tests because physics never tried to prove its own theory. I have to prove it wrong. Again, they don't have to prove it right. Everybody just has to believe it, and they won't do these experiments. That's the simple truth. Where's physicist Michael? Where's his? Like he bought the parts, he bought the thing. What happened to him?
He just come out with.
He just dis-a-fucking-peered. He cared so little for his audience that he just said, "Fuck you, I'm leaving," and didn't explain anything. Didn't say, "Oh, my wife's sick. I gotta, deal with my real life." Didn't say a goddamn thing.
Vague, ambiguous statements of, "Oh, well, they're just not very good." Well, we could also.
That's not what I said. I didn't make a vague statement. I made a very or a precise statement stating, well, if it's going 50, the spring's going 49. If it's going 10, the spring's going 9. These are real easy to figure out things, the real numbers. Your obligation is to say, well, a pendulum moving 40 centimeters is the same energy as a pendulum moving 9 centimeters. That's your obligation, fuckhead.
Like that.
Thank you. And that'll be it for this video.
So yeah, basically just a load of crap. The thing is, if you're so bothered about launching with springs, we could drop masses onto springs, because by your own admission, springs collect energy really well. And yes, they probably are a little bit more efficient. You're probably looking more to, say, 95 to 98% efficient when doing that. So
yeah, I don't have an objection, like I said, but your experiments aren't doing that exactly, are they? They're running them down a tube, okay, with duct tape and all kinds of other mechanisms that are of doubtful credibility as a way of testing, honestly. So yes, the fact is, I don't think your experiments are any good because you don't account for variables. And clearly using the shittiest, smallest spring you could find is really dumb. You don't want a really stiff spring. Like in a scale, you want a spring that has a lot of range of motion. That's how you actually do measurements. You try to increase the range of motion. You've even, no, that was the other asshole. That was Ian Gosling, whatever his name was. He made put a little lever on his detector so he could make the measurement more easy to see. That's what you do. You try to make the measurement big so you can see little differences. You didn't do any of that, you shit for brain.
Wouldn't it be interesting if somebody did that and maybe showed it to you? You just can't fucking handle evidence, can you?
No, you can't handle it, right? Remember, Ian Gosling did it with clay and didn't get your results at all. So you're not even going to admit that you have conflicting evidence. The experiment didn't come out the same way when you did it with a different medium in a different way. It came out with a completely different answer, you fucking weasel. So obviously we know these variables are important. And you're just not paying any fucking attention because you're just trying to engineer a fake and a fraud. And that's all you are. And that's what you're going to be revealed to be. Is a stinking, lousy pile of human garbage, okay, that didn't care about the goddamn truth and just cared about attacking me and pretending it was about some more important issue than the fact that you're a stinking, smelling sack of human garbage. And that's all you are. You're a puddle of puke. Okay. Yeah, enough of that. Oh, it'd be nice to see you do an IQ test. Well, fuck you. It's not going to happen. I'm just saying, I already know, like I said, they didn't give me a standard IQ test. They obviously, when I was 10 years old, they didn't ask me what the capital of fucking Bangladesh is. They didn't do that. So, yes, if you want to test me on trivia, I'm not going to do very well. Because trivia is not interesting to me. What's always been interesting to me is, how do I climb the tree? What branches will hold my weight? Which ones won't? That's the kind of shit that's always interested me. So my brain is focused on solving problems. It's not focused on giving a motherfucking shit about some kind of what's the tallest mountain. Everest or the Matterhorn or White Rock or whatever. I couldn't give less of a shit. It's a good question. Syracuse? I don't know, right? That's at New York. Huckenberg? Yeah, Huckenberg. Capital of New Jersey is Trenton. That's it, right? Trenton. Trenton? Yeah, it's got to be Trenton. Come on, George, tell us. What's the answer? Guess he had to look it up. There are lots of trick ones, you know, like, I don't know, is Philadelphia the capital of Pennsylvania, or is it some other thing like Hickenberg? Yeah, it's probably a Hickenberg. Harrisburg's, even when I'm guessing up close, right? That's funny. Oh, fuck. Why do you bring up names of people I don't even know who the fuck they are? What the fuck is it, Andrew Wilson? Oh, shit. Yeah, we'll just get rid of the Andrew Wilson guy. He's just like, what the fuck is that shit? Who the fuck could give a shit about whatever an Andrew Wilson is? Just the guy I want to debate is Veritasium. He did an evolution video. I saw that he did an evolution video, and I'm saying, oh, I have to save that for Saturday. I just wonder what the fuck. You know, he says electricity doesn't travel through wires. Let's see, what's the other wacky thing he's been trying to prove? Oh, the whatever it is, the silly shortest distance theory thing. You know, but just what could he fucking? How the fuck is he gonna fuck the subject of evolution? I mean, it's just gonna. I am just so. Like, what the fuck does this asshole think he's going to contribute to the subject of evolution? I mean, you know, Gould already fixed everything. You know, they claimed that Gould was saying something other than Darwin, but he wasn't saying anything. It was just adding on, just pointing out that it's, you know, evolution is about incest, frankly. You know, that's a huge evolution engine, is small groups of animals that, you know, are fucking each other, you know, each other's brothers and sisters, and they do a lot of mutating, and then they gain some advantage, and then they come back to the herd and wipe it out because they're so much more functional. They're so much better. And that's the only way you can change, like buffalo, right? You can't change buffalo if you just look at the million mass herd. That will never evolve. And the only way you can evolve buffaloes is you have to have 10 of them go off somewhere for 10,000 years and grow longer horns and do all kinds of shit and then come back and kick their asses. I mean, you can even think of it as in the Native Americans and how they fought with each other. And, you know, this was the contest. And it wasn't about evolution of an entire genetic code. It was about the fact that one tribe gained an advantage and took the territory. Cro-Magnon man. I mean, all of these arguments about how, you know, the weaker one got destroyed, annihilated by the little tiny tribe that showed up. So punctuated equilibrium was just a perfect answer to why there were no, you know, why there's no missing links. Why so many missing links are missing. And the obvious answer is because all of the evolution happened in small, tiny populations, like little dart frogs and stuff. And there's no fossils of these little tiny populations. Anyway, it will be interesting to see how he fucks that subject. I mean, what the fuck is this asshole? He makes videos about subjects that have nothing to do with anything. He might even be competent. You know, subjects he might even have some kind of competence in. I hate the internet. Let's see. I guess I could pop up the chat for 5 minutes and then get the hell out of here, I guess. I have to go to here. And let's see. Where's the pop-up thing? Pop-up. It ain't here. It's funny. Pop out. There it is. Yeah, it's very small. Okay, there. So everybody can see just how they don't say nothing. They're just useless commenters. Are so useless. Just pathetically lame. And not very functional. So 10 people still. So that's my average. We really need to do better. Got to get up to like 30. One in person and 30 might be able to constructively interact. Do you think math is a religion? No, I think math is just something obvious. I mean, math is taking the essence of something. You know, what it is. How tall is it? How fat is it? How much does it weigh? Take the essence and say, look, I'll just replace that. Like you could say there's 1,000 features that define me. You know, you could say blue eyes or blonde hair, and then you could say height, weight. You could say nervous disorder. You could, you know, and I'm just saying, you could take 1,000 of those things, and you could just say these are what we're going to define the thing as, and that's all math is supposed to be, is a formalization. You're just taking something complicated and making it really simple. What's its essence? What's the substance of it? And so something like mass times velocity equals capacity to do work or exchange motion, well, that makes sense. That's good math. Squaring the velocity, that's retarded nonsense. So I'm just saying that math is great, but if you do it wrong, there's no point. If you make up a fake formula, then you have shit. You don't have math that's useful. But the idea that we're just the sum of something makes perfectly good sense, that you can sum us up. Yeah, the fact that you can sum the world up and figure out what the variables are and put them in a relationship to each other, perfectly sensible thing to do. Squaring velocity, perfectly insensible. Well, yeah, you know, the stream on the other channel was, you know, some of it's just so useless. It's just no real point in it, I don't think. But I'll probably do it in the same style. If there's something worth responding to, like there's some video worthy of my attention, then I'll do a live stream. But it's pretty fucking rare. I mean, obviously the only people who argue with what I'm saying can't argue with what I'm saying without doxing me or making accusations about somehow I'm defending pedophiles or some other kind of nonsense. So, I mean, obviously I'm not going to debate that horse shit. Well, I mean, you've got to concede there's not much you commenters provide, right? I mean, there's not much fodder for anything, and all I get is trolls who make accusations, and I have to say, well, didn't you say 25 years ago that, you know, bananas were, you know, toxic waste or something? Didn't you defend saving turtles? Yeah, I defended us being rational until we disappear. I just said to defend us being civilized till the very last day. We should remain civilized. I mean, you've got to admit that, you know, a huge number of trolls just show up, make false accusations, and I just end up spending my time defending myself against the lies. Do you think that's fun? Yeah, sorry, it's no fun for me. I mean, really, it's, you know, I can't even describe how much of my life I have had to waste defending myself against nonsense accusations, just lies. Why would I watch anything by Nambla? So I'm just, you want me to block you or what? Why the fuck would you suggest that I would give a fuck about this subject? I mean, it's not that, you want to talk about formulas, right? This is a simple formula. We know that having sex with a minor is nasty, rude, and it should be illegal. I've defended the fact that the age of consent should be, for anybody over 18 years old, in terms of what they have sex with, okay, shouldn't be any lower. It should be probably higher. So yeah, I think you can only be taking advantage of somebody who's too stupid to make these kind of decisions and commitments. Love is a tricky business, and you shouldn't be seducing people into love relationships when they're 14 years old or some other kind of horse shit. All right, it's bullshit. Nobody should be doing it. The fact that, as a male, I understand how youth is attractive. I don't remember the girls I loved before and throw up. I remember them and I still think of them in a loving manner, okay? I don't imagine them as, ooh, how repulsive that was, that I could actually find that young girl attractive. That doesn't happen in my brain. So I'm conceding the point that, yes, I can be attracted. Now, the difference is I'm not exclusively attracted, so I don't have a panic and say, oh, there's nothing else I can have sex with on earth except for a 5-year-old. Well, I don't have that problem, okay? And the fact that some people do, I'm just saying mitigate. Try to make their life livable. And so they don't have to molest anything, so they don't think they're entitled. That's especially important. Make them understand they're not entitled to steal from somebody else because they're in deprivation. They can't suck somebody else's blood, so to speak. So I made it clear what my fucking point of view is. I have no interest in getting into pedophile culture, just as I have empathy for people who are the wrong sex. But I have no interest in becoming part of their culture. I have no interest in hearing all their whining and bitching. Men and women both suck. I wouldn't want to be either one, frankly. If I was going to have a change, I wouldn't change into one of them. I'd change it to something entirely different. So fuck you in the question. Why the fuck would I watch? Oh, look, I'm just going to fucking time you out, fucker. I have no fucking interest in the goddamn fucking subject. It's a completely the third rail. You goddamn know it. You can't say anything rational on the fucking subject. The human race isn't prepared to have a rational fucking conversation. You should know that by now, you fucking idiot. Goddamn retards. I'd like to talk about a lot of things, but you can't talk about it. Because all you'll get is slandered as a terrorist or some other kind of crap. You can't even say, I hate black culture, without being called a racist. Oh yeah, I think your culture is genetic. You can't help but being, doing that, whatever. What's all the jargon? I don't even have the jargon now. Whatever that is, bro love or something. But what else? All those TV commercials, all that beer shit, where all that slangy crap. What you think? I think that slangy crap is genetic? No, I'm not a racist. I hate your fucking guttist. Okay, if your culture is shit. But you can't say that. Because all these people think they're genetically assholes. Yeah, I guess they think that. Yeah, I was genetically made to be a stupid fuck. Well, it wasn't obvious enough, but yes, okay, I didn't get the George Floyd thing. I mean, that whole idea of just, what the fuck is it to mock things that are not mockable? Oh, what the hell is this comment? Think science isn't a pragmatic society. Care, utility, not value. What the fuck could that mean? I mean, could you read your comments before you hit the post button, please? So loopy loop. I mean, it's just troll after troll. Just say Newton was missing something. So go ahead, just say it. Somehow Newton didn't get it. You know, because he should have been saying 32 feet per second squared. Because there's some obvious reason to square the seconds. I mean, 2 units of gravity is obviously 4 units of force. I mean, it's just so fucking obvious. You know, getting hit by, you know, twice as many jelly beans means you must have 4 times the jelly bean on you. Yeah, he used feet and he used seconds. No big deal, fuckhead. Alright, fuck this guy. Ugh, God. It's just, people, you're just all so fucking stupidly useless. How can you have a distant dependent force? I mean, this is just, you know, it's so fucking stupid. I mean, I've drawn it so many times, but I mean, how do you exactly have a distance dependent force? I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all. It, you know, nothing does it. Wind doesn't do it. Streams don't do it. BBs don't do it. Sunlight doesn't do it. Nothing does this distance dependent thing. Nothing. Except this magical gravity force. The magical force that, you know, it gives you 1 unit of energy here. Okay. So it's one unit. And then when you get that 1 unit, it's giving you a velocity. So your velocity that you already got gives you this. And then it gives you this 1 unit again. So this 1 unit is going to be the same as that top one. So I'll double the line. This one and this one are the same thing. You get 9.8. You go 4.9. You get 9.8. You go 4.9. And you know you're going half your speed right here. How can the force know that when it pushed you here, when it's going to push you here in the same 1 second, that somehow it's going to give you 3 units of force in 1 second of force hitting you? So you're only getting hit by 1 second of the force, but somehow these 3 units happened. These were extras that you got pushed. You got pushed here. This wasn't free because you already got the velocity here. So the velocity you got here is what causes this. If the gravity stopped right here, right, you went this far, you got your 9.8, and then I turned the gravity off, you're still going to get this. You're not going to get this, but you're still going to get this whole section. You'll still end up here. Okay, without anything else, and you'll still be going 9.8. You'll just continue going 9.8. That is, you'll do 2 4.9s every second. So you'll continue to go 9.8 and there's no gravity. You turned it off. I mean, this is all you get. You get this in 1 second and you get this in 1 second. That's all you get. There's no 4. I just don't know how you assholes can't see how obvious this is. How can a force know that it's supposed to give you 1 unit of energy here and it's supposed to give you 3 units of energy here? How does it know to do that? You're going 9.8 and now it's going to push you 3 units worth. Bullshit it is. What is this? Think science isn't... no, that's the idiot. She said something I couldn't understand. Means science is deceptive more than practical. I don't... sorry, I don't agree. I don't even know what that is. It's a religion. That's all it is. The fact that it's not very practical, right, that's just a fact. The theoretical physics is all nonsense. That's where all the money is, and it's just all waste. Quantum computing, waste. I mean, the gravitational wave thing is a little bit, you know, the interferometer is a valid tool, but it's nowhere near what they claim. I mean, to claim they're measuring the distance of a proton is just retardedly idiotic. But, you know, it's still an interesting instrument. But have they done any testing at all? So this is another one you're just saying, why couldn't they do these simple tests? I mean, with all the money they're spending, right? I mean, you're talking about billions of dollars. So $8-10 billion, right, for this stupid machine. And so how much do you think it would cost for them to build right over the tunnel, right? There's a tunnel. And then here's this big fancy mirror. Now, right on top of that mirror, on the ground on top of that mirror, they could build a little, you know, suspend a weight, like a Volkswagen. You know, something significant. A heavy lead ball. And then all they have to do is oscillate that lead ball and see if the mirror detects it. You know, it's simple experiment, right? Because that would demonstrate exactly how much energy the thing can collect. Because they're making, you know, they're doing this silly thing, you know, the word energy doesn't mean anything to these people, and that's the experiment that proves it. Because the whole solar mass is disappearing thing, where they're saying the mass, that is the physical chemical mass, the electrons and protons, convert into bent space. That you actually take electrons and protons, atoms, and you convert them into bent space, whatever the fuck that is. That's where it gets so preposterous, because they can't convert it into photons. Because they convert it into photons, everything in the environment of those collisions would get incinerated. So it can't be real energy. They have to turn it into some sort of new form of bent geodesic energy that doesn't break things. And so it's such a fraud on its face. And you people buy it. Kip Thorne makes up a fake theory about how you can turn mass into bent space, and you assholes believe it. It's just so pathetically stupid. Oh, Adam Lanza again. So he's made another sock account, which I don't even read it. Ha 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 again. I didn't even see your comment. Alright, just admit that you don't know the difference. Well, so we're just closing you out too, fucker. What do you mean, I don't know the difference? I don't know the difference. I don't see any reason to say per second means second squared. I think that's fucking goddamn goop that you expect to come out of a baby's ass. It's so fucking useless. It's such mush. How the fuck is per second a second squared? Fucker. Ugh. Disgusting turds. Alright. So, I've had enough of you folks. Yeah, fuck you people. Ugh. God damn. So it just proves my point though. Humans are scum. Lying scum. No, I didn't want to do that. I want to do this.